All right, what's going on YouTube? It's going to be Donnie coming to you from Misawa, Japan this time. Not Saitama last time I was on YouTube and everything. So I got my guy as always, Lexis King, Richmond, California, CA not VA. And also in a couple seconds, when he's ready, we're going to have Austin Norman popping in and everything. So all you guys who, familiar with Animal Style know of Austin. Austin's doing his own thing now. We'll get into all that stuff later. Lex brought him to my attention. I already knew about him. But Lex, he's my good teammate and kind of scouting people who, think would be a good fit for the podcast and everything, man. So anyway, man, what's going on with you today, man?
Shit, man, I just had to shave. I just realized something. We be having these masks on all the time, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, when
it should be covering.
I get up. Yeah, right. Yeah. I get a man at like break of dawn, 4 a.m. Get all my shower and shit done, and I just get out the door to work, man. I came home today. I was like, "Cuz, your face, my G, shave that shit."
Well, I'll tell you what I hate is after you shave, like, you shit all on point, and you put that fucking mask on. It's like, it takes that shit away. And then like the other day, I had a dude come to the shop to pick up R34 that I sold, and we were outside, and I was like, I ain't wearing no fucking mask, cause like, it's my business, and like I think the mask, man, people are hiding behind that shit. It's you getting into psyche shit now. It's like 2 years, 3 years into this shit. And I noticed some people attitudes changed with the mask on now and with the mask off. Like they feel like they're in a masquerade and shit like that, man. But I hate after I shave and then you put that shit on it just fucking takes all of, it takes all the features away and shit.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. That's just funny. I realized two things about the shaving thing and about the fact that we don't see the pleasantry smiles from people. Yeah. Like when you're past, you don't see the smile
you see the squint
that you used to get. You may see the squint or head nod and be like, oh, they just smiled at me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Now it just seems like everybody's me mugging, but some people might not be because they got their mask on.
Nah, for me, man, I kind of like when a person rolls up, if they sniffling and shit, I'll go ahead and pull my shit up, right? But if they like, they ain't sniffling, their nose ain't running, we're outside anyway. I don't go inside my office unless we're counting money and stuff like that. So I just keep them outside because we're out in the open. Just stay away from them. And I take the mask off because, like, again, man, it just kind of like being able to see somebody's whole face, man. Is like it's a different kind of thing. Especially last week I had to, man, because like I met some dudes for the first time and They were young guys and they weren't tracking basically on email, so I had to make them like look, man, you see my face, I don't fuck around, dude. You know what I mean? So that mask really covers up the face and everything, and then you just see the person's eyes, man. But it is what it is. We talking about mask and shit, so fucking shit probably get demonetized and everything. But anyway, man. So, what you about to say?
I was about to say is get demonetized because of masks.
Yeah, man. The keywords, the shit, the auto shit, it focuses on words. So mask, COVID, blah blah blah, all that shit. They'll tag your video for like if you say anything in the first minute about that shit, and then they'll be like, well, you can't be doing Joe Rogan shit. You know what I'm saying? We'll cancel your ass. Joe Rogan's a little bit too big. Nuts. You know what I mean? So that shit, man. It's almost 3. I mean, shit. We're in 3 years of this shit, right?
Started the end of 19, beginning of 20.
Yeah,
shit. It's 22 now.
Yeah,
fuck.
3 years of this bullshit, man. But did you see did you see someone like that video I just posted, man, with me on the mountain and shit? Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
man, that shit was yeah. And I got that video back, man. So did you know about the LRV? The LRV was LRV, low resolution video. Did you know about that?
You know what?
I seen it.
Put my SD card or mini SD memory cards, whatever. When I take my memory out of my GoPros and put them in the computer, I do see it breaks it up in 3 things.
Yeah. The thumbnail,
video, thumbnail. Then you get the LRV. I've seen that, and then you get the audio file.
Right.
I've always like highlight all of the shit except for the thumbnails, delete them, and then I pull the thumbnails. So I've seen but never really messed with it. Knew what I could utilize it as.
Yeah, that's just dope.
But yeah, no,
it saved the video because again, I wasn't gonna make the video because I'm like, dude, the whole video is kind of like predicated on that start point, and without that, it's kind of like I was gonna talk about it, but it was like, you know, seeing it, and that even in the video, man, like the video didn't show like how steep the hill was, and also I didn't start recording until it got kind of more low down, because when it was at the top, when it started, it was at the very top, and if you've been to Japan or any farmland, like they pile the dirt up, and like essentially they make a road in the middle of it, so there's like a whatever that quad, what's the fucking shape, trapezoid or whatever, it's like a it just falls off, like, so I'm riding on that shit with a truck and 2 cars and a dirt bike with snow and ice. Yeah, dude, that shit's like swaying back and forth. I'm like, man, this shit's about to roll the fuck over, dude. And I was like prepared for it. I was like, hey man, you gotta get the body ready, because you know what I'm saying. I'm like I tightened the seatbelt up a little bit.
Yeah.
And but luckily, man, I just stayed in the middle, and when you got down and you see the video, actually on a bank appeared on the left side. So after that came up, then I started driving more towards the left. You know what I mean? So I mean, so yeah, man, that shit was wild, man. So if you guys ain't seen it, I'm talking about it. You can go on YouTube, Pinku Style. The latest video I posted called Extreme Transportation. Definitely didn't want to do that shit, man. But it goes what it goes, man. But have you ever been in any hairy shit like that before? Like transport some shit, and you know what I mean? It seemed pretty dry and flat out there.
I've up trips, messed up track day trips. Taking stuff around, but you know, we don't really have gnarly terrain over here or any narrow pathway. What we do, but I don't really travel on them. I stay on the main thoroughfares. Right. But I did the that's kind of pussy compared to your situation. I was driving. I thought I was going to take a shortcut from JTP's house to Willow Springs, and I was going to go through Angel's Crest Forest to pop out on the other side of Lancaster. Little did I know that wasn't a fucking shortcut. And when you get it up there, you lose all cell service. So my GPS wasn't updating. Man. I was fucking for hella long. So yeah, I'm making hella loop backs and turns and going around. And I had a 5 gallon of gas, and I was kind of running low on fuel, but I was like, shit, I'd be fine to the track. But yeah, dude, I had to get to a point where, you know, roads were getting a little narrow because it's the toge basically. Right. But, you know, I'm hooking these loop backs with this truck and trailer articulation is like, you know, I'd be coming through and it's in half the lane sometimes. But I was striking doing that shit, and then I saw a sign that said Firehouse. So I'm like, they'll save me. Yeah. I drove up to the fire station and said, yo, I'm hella lost. I'm trying to get to Lancaster. Which way? They're like, just go this road. You know, the old school way, right? Go this way, see a tree, don't turn it down. Turn it to Cactus, and then go down, you'll see a mile marker, such and such, make a right, and you'll go straight down. And then I was like, damn, you kind of, you know, it ain't like I said, it's pussy compared to your shit. It ain't terrain and all that. But that kind of realized how pussy we getting, because I'm like, I'm relying on my phone, yo. Not like, you know what I'm saying? I could have just looked at a compass and be like, that's north. I need to go northeast. And just, you know what I mean? Kept whichever way the road is going, keep going northeast or something. But damn, like the days of MapQuest when we used to pull up the shit and then remember, okay, I'm going to go 40 miles this way. Then I'm going to get off this way, make a left, go up to this street, and those kind of things that we used to keep in our head. Nowadays, I'd be like, shit. Yeah. What is GPS saying?
Yeah. Okay. Then like brought to take a right, and I look up like I'm going to drive to the living room and shit. And then I just went around the train tracks, and then like I went. So I'm like, the thing is saying, oh, what's up? This Austin what's right up? There, man. What's going on, man? Good, clear and crisp video, man. Thanks for dropping it, man. So again, guys, like I said at the top of the podcast, Austin, we were only in about about 13 minutes of this driving before you came on, man. So we're not too far
Okay.
along, man. So guys, this is Austin Norman. And correct, you're in what part of California you're in?
I'm in like San Jose area.
San Jose. So how far is that from you,
Yeah.
Lex?
He's about 40 miles. Look at the super swag you got back there. What's going on, bud?
Before we get into it, of course, you guys see the.
I saw you with the lights, man. I had to.
Yeah.
Man. Oh, you got the same. You got the same lights up there.
Yeah. They
cool,
were like, I don't know. My sister used to live in this room, and she had these up, so I just kept them.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So before we go.
To blue.
Hey, before we get into it, Austin, just go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit for the guys who don't know you, man. Of course, I've known and seen of you before, man. So this is for the guys where you at, age, all that stuff, and we'll roll right into it, man.
Yeah. My name's Austin. I'm 20. I actually just turned 27.
Okay.
A couple weeks ago. Yeah. I've been drifting for, I don't know, 6 years, 5 years, 6 years, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all we need to know, man. You're a drifter, and like the thing about it, man.
Yeah. Try to.
Yeah,
it's
man.
a lot of fun,
Yeah. So anyway, man, we got. Go, Lex.
He was like, I didn't know what was going on. Like he was always hanging. He was with Animal Style all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, dude, just run events because he always ran. Help facilitate the events and stuff through the starting line. He was always a helping hand in everything. They're painting cars, they're putting cars together, their car broken in the middle of Grange. It's whatever. He was all hands on deck. And then I think when I saw it the first time I saw him drive, I was like, of course this nigga can drive, yo.
I got it. Like it's. When I like first met you, that was like Super D Cup days or whatever. I wasn't really driving back then. I didn't have my own car, so I would steal other people's cars. But I mainly learned off of like playing Assetto and then obviously just hanging around with those guys for a while and just picking up what they're doing and just trying to trying to do what they do. You know what I mean? Because they were my inspirations at the time. So.
So what do you run like far as like I know when I messaged you said you were hitting home from the shop. So what do you do like on a daily grind and everything, man?
So I work at a BMW race shop in Fremont. So I'm basically a BMW tech, but like for example, like they have a race. They're actually testing right now over at Sonoma. They have a big event next weekend. So I do a lot of the like setup on these like grip cars. But I also there's like two sides to the shop. So there's one side with like the race cars and the other side is like the daily BMW type stuff. So I kind of bounce between the two,
Got you. So like what's your hours generally like when you how much time do you put in there as far as working on their stuff and then like as far as your stuff, man?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Like how much time you normally work there? Like a day, 10 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours. Like I know that you get race stuff.
Yeah, it can. It's hit or miss, honestly. Like this, because we don't really have an off season here. You know what I mean? So, like maybe the past 2 months was the off season just because of the rain. But I mean, I'm scheduled to be there for 8 hours, but there's been days where I've been there from like 7:30 to like 9 at night. It really just depends how many cars are going to the track the weekend. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah. It's getting hectic. It's picking up again for sure.
Yeah. So how's everything been like for you guys as far as the COVID stuff up there? Where you at, man? About the same.
His county is the only county for work that when I go there, I can't go in any building. Don't matter if the whole building just caught on fire and a fire inspector needs me to go and inspect it. I can't go in the building unless I have a vaccination. Wow. Is the only county. Yeah, Santa Clara County is the only county where it's. I don't care if you're here to save lives.
That's great. I haven't. I guess I haven't been out too much to be honest, but like, I haven't really. I didn't know it was still kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they push it how they feel like it. It's their city, they county, they do what they want. But I got a question for you because, like everybody Well, let's see. Okay, so like Alex Pfeiffer. When I first met Alex Pfeiffer, he did the same thing. He worked at a Porsche race shop. He did all the Porsche race cars. He got them already. He flew out to all the race events and did all the shit. And he was really like into getting, well, he was into those cars together. Then he'd go and drift. And so it's just kind of cool. It's literally kind of a trend that I see with a lot of people that are like really deep and passionate into the drift side. They do automotive work, because you know how it always is. If you work on cars for work, kind of when you do it at your leisure, you're like, God damn.
It's tiring, dude. Yeah, it's hard, man.
But the race shop thing doesn't seem as daunting as dealing with a customer that says, I don't know why my car shakes when I go 60 miles an hour. I don't get it.
Yeah.
You're dealing with like somebody that says, yeah, I fucked up last week, get my shit back together. Right. You know what I mean? You just know, hey, we're doing this because this guy don't care about nothing but driving. So has it, working at that location, it hasn't burnt you out? Because if people couldn't tell from the videos, you're not easy on your own equipment.
No, not at all. I guess it's kind of pros and cons, honestly. Like, it makes it more fun and enjoyable to work on a race car just because you're working on a race car. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like some of these race cars, you know, like one nut and bolt could be a different size as the other one. You know what I mean? So it could definitely be, you know, a headache at sometimes, especially with like roll cage cars. You gotta like hop in the back or something. Like, I guess it really depends what the job is or whatever. But at the end of the day, you're still wrenching, and then you got to go home and work on your own car. It can be it can be exhausting. You know what I mean? But
so
just got to keep pushing. You know.
You're in San Jose Bay. How did you used to find your way to the animals lair up here in Sebastopol and shit? That's hella far away, bro.
Yeah, it's about an hour and a half drive. I used to drive up there every weekend. I don't know. I was young, man. Like I was excited. I was having a lot of fun being surrounded by those guys, and yeah, it's just not looking back. I wouldn't drive up there every weekend now, to be honest. But you know what I mean. Like I was a kid. I was young. I didn't. And plus, gas prices, dude, they're like $5. You know, like back then it wasn't that much. So
right.
So what you found? Like you just hit somebody from Animal Style up on IG, or you've been following Julian or Jason or even Ryan Cotto for a while, or what was the deal?
Yeah. So I was following them for a while, but I started the Club Drift days back in like, I don't know, what was it, 2012, 2013 or something like that. I was hanging around the guy that was running that or whatever, and me and Luke, we just started chatting. I'm sorry, what?
RJ or
RJ and John, yeah. So I was hanging around John a lot because he had a hatch at the time, and I had one also. I wasn't really drifting. I was still kind of just low boy, just kind of hanging around, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so going to those events, I met Luke, and me and him kind of like hit it off because we both skated. So we started just hanging around or whatever, and then Julian started coming around Luke's house, and then I kind of hung out with him, or just started. Everyone was around each other, you know what I mean? Right. So, yeah.
It's generally how it goes in the whole drift scene, man. Like I said, we just got introduced today formally, and you know, the one thing is like it's always hard to remember how you met. Like again, we just had the last podcast with talking about Gran Turismo, and the way me and Lex met was from a chat room on Gran Turismo. You know what I mean? And that spawned our relationship and everything, and we've been kicking it ever since, man. So it's like, it's weird, man. If I look back on all the people I've known over the years, you know, it's hard to pinpoint that day, man. But we kind of been speaking about Animal Style and everything in the past tense, whatever. We're not trying to, start drama, whatever, man. But people grow up and grow out of things and everything. So Lex mentioned too that you start doing your own thing, man. So when was it that you started like kind of like pulling away from the guys, and do you still talk to them today, and how's that stuff going, man?
Yeah. I mean, I still talk to them. Me and a buddy of mine, Aviel. So he drives the purple E36 on the team. We've always, I mean, I've known him before I've known them. You know what I mean? And we've always kind of wanted to do something,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just kind of a timing thing. And his car was purple, and I wanted to paint my car purple forever. You know what I mean? It was red at the time, and yeah, it was just one of those things. Like, it was a timing thing, and we're just like, let's do it, dude. You know,
Right.
like if we're not gonna do it, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, and also we had an event, me and him. It was a Good Luck League twin drift.
Mm.
So it just was like, all right, let's paint our cars for that. You know what I mean? So
yeah, man. It's kind of, like I said, like a lot of people. I just wanted to put that out there because you were speaking, like you said, like you hanging people like, well, what happened or whatever. There you go, guys. That's what happened. Pretty much, he wanted to do his own thing.
Oh, yeah, you know, the internet will say something stupid, but it wasn't like they left paths. It was just like he started doing his own team situation, but everybody's still good because when we're all at events, it's all high fives and handshakes and that good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so like Donnie was saying, when you meet people and it's just like, I don't remember when I met you, but fuck, it's always been a good vibe.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it's
for sure.
Really the thing. Like, I know when I changed my driving style, it was because Austin was always hyping me up at the line. I the line, and like, you never know, right? It probably didn't look like it or nothing, but I knew that was out of my element, the way that they all drive. I drove more like Zen old man style.
You tell me you drive with a pinky like this and shit, man. Like you drive like eloquent drifting and shit, man.
I was in my old school. I'm in my Taniguchi phase where I'm not aggressive. I'm just nice and calm.
I don't know, man. You're pretty aggressive back in the day, man. Like in the Super Cup days, you were doing some pretty.
Y'all made me do that. I was sitting at the line, so I'd be nervous, like, fuck, yo, I'm about to, the stupidest shit. I'm about to break my front bumper. Come on. Scared. Oh, it's about to be crazy. And Austin come to the door and be like, you got it, man. And I'd be like, oh, and it would snap me out of my funk for that quick second. And then I'd be like, okay, I know what I need to do. Kill, right? And then I'd do something where we'd hit it one more time and it'd be like, yeah, that was sick. And I'd be like, all right, I got some encouragement to drive like this. And then when you get back to the pit and Julian and everybody's kind of like, whoa, what the hell? I remember JJ telling me, he said, yo, what the fuck? I've never seen you drive like that. And I'm like, well, this is a different element. Like, you know, when you play sports or basketball or something, and here are mad fucking good. You have to play to that level. They might be different, doing a lot more dribbling and crossovers and pulling up from anywhere. That was just kind of how that was. But it was cool because you were always that voice. It's the last voice you hear before you took off for battle because you're right there at the line. And I'm like, all right, let me get this. But it was cool to see you sending the events. But then when you started driving or you jump in the car after, and then it'd be like, yo, that's Austin driving right now. Yo, like on people's doors doing the same shit. Like, it was the only visual reference you would see between you and Jason or you and Luke or you and Julian is obviously your height in the seat. And it's like, he drives just like them. So it's like, all right, this is a tight visual. So when did you start driving like super aggressive, or has that always been like your style?
No, I guess like, so I had a 350Z before I met them, and I kind of like, I didn't have any direction with where, you know what I mean? I just wanted to be out there. Like, I'd go to Sonoma like the Wednesday nights, like super randomly on the same tires and drive home on the same tires. So I was like, you know what I mean? Like, I would just go out there and drift and have fun, right? And then I sold that car, and then I started hanging out with Luke and Julian and all those guys, and seeing what they did, like, it just kind of like, you know, like got me excited and wanted to do what they were doing, right? Like they were, all of them like are my inspirations, right? Mm-hmm. So just seeing them and like seeing the driving that they did and everyone, like the Super D Cup stuff, you know what I mean? Like, I never drove those events, but those were probably the sickest events I've ever gone to, and I didn't even drive them. You know what I mean? So seeing that they're driving made me want to do what they were doing, for sure.
Yeah. So you So you did so you mentioned in the animal style, and like I said, the guys are inspiration, man. So in your age, I always just kind of access the guys who are a little bit younger than myself. I'm approaching 30. I'm about to turn 39. Lexus, Lexus age is, he's up there, and so my thing is like, when did you when was the first thing that you ever? Well, actually, man, kind of cycle back, man. When did you get into cars? First of all, because most people get into cars first, then they find in drifting. It might be a lot of guys that is getting straight into drifting now because there's so much out there. So when did you start getting into cars, and also when was the first time you seen drifting?
So I used to skate.
Okay.
I used to skateboard. And I got hurt pretty bad, and I needed something to put my attention to. You know what I mean? And I've always been surrounded by cars, and honestly, like, I think Need for Speed was
okay.
You know what I mean? That was because I used to play that game when I was a kid. It was a 242. I remember it was a 240. Yeah. I would pretend I'm like driving the streets like normally. You know what I mean? Yeah. And yeah. So
underground or which one?
Yeah,
underground. Okay.
Yeah. So my first car was actually a hatch, and that thing was clapped. Yeah. It was like $2,000 or something like that. And I tried to make it better, but I didn't know anything back then. You know what I mean? So yeah, I ended up selling it and then getting a 350Z, and it was a little bit better for me. But yeah, that's pretty much what got me into.
So, any family members in the cars? Parents, uncle,
father? So I don't really know my dad, but my family's always talking about him, and he used to be a hot rod guy.
Okay.
So they pictures, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess I've been surrounded by cars when I was younger, but yeah, and then I started getting friends that were into cars, and then it just kind of went from there, I guess. Kind of just escalated.
So when you were sitting on the internet as a wee young laddie, what was the first drifting video that you saw and was like, nah, hold the fuck up, I gotta run that back? That was crazy.
There's two. Two off the top of my head. It was what's it called? It was Ryan Turk. It was when he had that black 1J hat. Off season. Yeah, it was an off season. And then there's I forget his name. I think it's like TJ something. He had a black Sylvia. He's in like Australia or something like that.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he did it was like a toge video. Those two videos, I remember watching them in my living room at like 13 or something like that, and I was like, that shit is tight. I want to do that.
It's crazy. It's like it's crazy, man, because it was like, even though the age is age difference, for me it was Koguchi. You remember Lex was the Koguchi, this black 180 SX with the 19s on it. This was way back. Koguchi was like one of the first people to like really do that style, man. Low, big wheels and all that stuff, man. And that was the first video I seen, and I kept watching that shit back. And this was like back when Street Fire was like in, and YouTube wasn't really popping. And then I just went down a rabbit hole, man. I still actually got the videos on my hard drive actually in front of me, and I might load them up and everything. But those, and then what's the one, the BM one that's been sold 1,000 times now, the Haraguchi's the yellow FC that everybody's buying. So like that style, and then you can even see on his stickers that style is still prevalent today with a lot of guys, man. So it's just like that was my era. That's when I got into it. That was like when D1 was still kind of in its infancy and stuff like that, man. So it's just, we all kind of get into it, man, and find our way and stuff. And then like now I'm at the point where I've been into it for, I've been doing cars for over 20 years. I've been doing drifting for like close to 20, and you kind of you at some point you kind of like, man, what am I doing, dude? Like I got my pro license or whatever, but it's like, what am I really doing with this? And you got to kind of pull back some time and just kind of recalibrate and get back to it. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And also, like Lex said, I need friends because I don't have friends here. Like, honestly, the dudes that are drifting here, nothing against them, but they're like 21, 22, 25. And it's a different from your age. And when me and Lex were 24, 25, the new 24, 25-year-olds, the 21-year-olds, they're like there's this IG clout and all that stuff, and their mind is just kind of, I can't vibe with it, to be honest. And long story short, so I kind of just stayed to myself. So you're a 27, 28 age range, still a little bit separated from those guys, if it makes sense. Do you? I mean, would you say that's? Would you agree with that or disagree?
No, I agree with that 100%. I'm not really into like
clout.
The I mean, the new generation I'm stoked for, you know what I mean?
Right,
but at the same time, some of the stuff they do is kind of cringe.
It's
cringe, you know what I mean?
Way cringe, man. Especially when you're watching the videos. Like I just got into motocross, and one thing I noticed is like a lot of like the buttery guys, and they're all in Twitch. They're all filming at the same place, and they're kind of cool. But then when somebody who else is vlogging who they're not cool with, they're sending darts over there and like little innuendos, and I'm like, they're all filming the same event, but the energy is different when you see the final cut. The one guy who's nice guy is all rosy and buttery and contemporary Christian music and shit, and then the other guys got like rock and rap and shit on it, and it's like a different thing. And then when they cross paths, you can see the fakeness there, like right there on camera, where they like they don't like the guy, but they don't talk to him.
You know what was always super cool, and this was like, so we were talking about Super D, and now it's crazy that Super D was in 2017. It was 2020. But the Super D events were so chill, you didn't think of them as competitions.
Right. That was Julian's whole goal with it, was like to keep it as fun as possible and like not be pressured. You know what I mean?
It was literally all the homies, like, you know, and we'll keep it 100% funky. We were doing this in FD. We were doing this in FD Pro-Am. You pull up, you look at the grid, you say, oh, this nigga's a pushover. This boy trash. I don't want to drive her. You know, it's kind of like that.
Right.
Super kind of just like, everybody cool. I don't care who you're up against.
Right.
It's going to be a blast.
Yeah.
Let's all rip. Your car broke? Can I do something to help you? Because that's how I met your boy with the FC.
Yeah.
My oil cap in the vert had split in the center, and it was shooting oil through cap.
Yeah.
And they saw that I was having an issue with that, and I went to do something. When I came back, I had an oil cap sitting in under the hood, and I'm like, oh, who come from? And they were like, oh, he sent it over. I'm like, oh, man, cool. And that was the first day I met him.
Right.
But that's the vibe, right?
Yeah.
That was always the vibe. Even the day, remember round 4, I was tired of shit, and I took the huge butt boofing in my door. Boom. That shit fast, yo. And I was like, the homie hit me. It was the homie. It was my mess up, too, you know. And it was like,
I remember that one.
Feelings.
I remember Jalen was pretty upset about that. I remember
that. But it was because his family member just got destroyed. You know what I
mean? Yeah. He was just rooting on his dad, you know.
Mm-hmm. And he's never seen me mess up.
Right.
That was the first human like flub he had ever seen me make.
Right.
And big one, boy. But it looked so dramatic outside. Like
it did.
Me just hitting the rev limiter, smoke everywhere. And it was like, wait, what just fucking happened? Yeah. Dude, I was tired and I fucked up. But it was super cool, just the vibe of everything. Right. There was no ego of much any level at all.
Right.
And I really appreciated that because up to that point, I had never been in. Because, see, I stepped away from the hey, I'm going to compete for FD shit long time ago in 2012. Fuck, I'm drifting for fun, period. Right. This is just a blast to me. I make money. This is a hobby I want to be very good at, but I don't want to be on the competition level.
Right.
Once I started my smoothness and everything together with Sonoma Drift, that was cool. I was like, okay, I can really do this. I know how to do this. But the year that I got aggressive with everybody at Super D, then I took that same talent to All-Star Bash of SoCal, and fools are like, damn, you drive different now. I'm like, yeah, that's because NorCal, we do the thing up there, right?
NorCal's been stepping their game up, to be honest. The driving is getting pretty hard.
Yeah.
I think honestly, like, because I've been thinking about it too lately. If there was more series, like low-key series, like because I can't afford pro-am. Like my car, like I would have to build a completely different car to do pro-am. But if there was some low key, or even like Good Luck League, if they just did a couple more like competition or twin drift stuff, I would do it.
Right.
You know, just to see, like I come from skateboarding, so progression to me, like I think of drifting in a similar fashion. Like I want to get better, I want to learn, and I also like just competing and trying to push myself that way. You know what I mean? I think would be tight.
Yeah.
I think it would be, but I don't want to take it too serious either.
Right.
That's why I don't think I would do.
And that's why I like events like ADS. An event called Amateur Drift Series, which is a series that they've started to just get people together to compete. Right. And we have Good Luck League and we have ADS right now that do little comp series, and it's great. So when I'm doing the judge thing, like I've watched people sometimes get up there and I'm the fucking judge.
Yeah.
Right. Let's have fun. Right. Yeah. They both had a little flub, no big deal. Run it again. And that's why I love seeing like you and Palmer line up, because it's like, ooh, okay, this is a very aggressive style versus somebody that may not be very aggressive, might be a little bit more smooth and calm with their drifting. So like when you see two different styles of that kind of drifting on the track, and I like to be on the mic talking about it, you're going to see an aggressive ass chase from this guy right here. You're going to see a calm lead right here. And then vice versa. Let's see if the calm style drift can keep up with because Austin's car, and then I've had the opportunity to chase him as well. Matter of fact, everybody's cars now is just high grip rears, where you just have just enough power you'll be like, pushing, RPM is just going, man. You know what I'm saying? Just sitting there. And it's like, oh, this is tight, because that's the kind of drifting I've always wanted. I really didn't like the overpowered, everybody take off in third gear, stay in third gear, banging limiter shit. Yeah. So when I got to watch that, it was just, you see that drifting and it's like, okay, this is fun. And I want to judge it in a fun way. I don't care about sending one more times. Other dudes be like, oh, well, man, shut up. One more time, go send them again. And I love seeing that. And especially you guys as drivers, like, yeah, we always do fun runs at the end of these type of events, but it's like, no, send them one more time. So you can get that competitive driving experience in that way. Because I know you as a driver, you'll probably be like, oh, I know I did this run. Let me clean that up on this run. So, like, tell me about that. So, because it's all for fun, but like when you get in a competition setting, does your mind switch to some? Do you overthink what the other driver's gonna do, or is it's just another run?
Yeah. I think the first couple times I tried to compete, I just like butterflies. You know what I mean? Like. I don't know what I'm doing, you know what I mean? So I always kind of messed up, but I think it's getting to the point where like it's kind of weird. I don't know if you guys do it a little bit, but when you drive, you kind of get in this like weird like autopilot like feeling, you know what I mean? So I'm finally like kind of getting into that point where competing. But I think when I went up against Julian at Good Luck League, I was like I had to focus. Like I think we won more time twice or something like that. Like he's not going to let me win, but I was trying everything I could. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So speaking on that, like, 'cause Lex put up a good point right there in that what you guys are talking about. You said like when you came up, like you're heavily influenced by Anno Style, Julian, and all those guys. And then one thing me and Lex talked about before was like, the competition thing. And like Lex said, Julian, people all know who he is, how he drives, but you don't really see him like not trying to petition to be an FD and petitioning to do D1. And when you look at it, man, it correlates to me. It reminds me of like NBA is a good example, because a lot of people play basketball, NBA, and then you got like the guys who just go to the park on Saturday and Sundays are just as good, but they didn't go through college. They didn't do all that stuff. And there's a lot of guys that are not in the NBA that can compete if they were given a chance. Not saying that you guys don't have the chance, whatever. Like you just mentioned straight up, you had to do this to your car, blah, 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 XYZ. and it's just not appealing. And now you got the thing where I got people on my friends list. I mean, if it's you I'm talking about, sorry, but you've been building a pro car for 3 years now. That car ain't even legal. You know what I mean? That you've been building it for. That's
exactly what Julian went through.
Yeah.
Yep. I was because I competed with Julian the year that he went to FD, got his pro license. And it was just like, we were sitting home rooting for him on the Pro-Am All-Stars. That's what made me want to get my FD license so that I could do Pro-Am All-Stars. Right. But they cut Pro-Am All-Stars off because for whatever reason, the season took long for a few different Pro-Ams. And because it took so long, like we would have just been finishing the season the week before Pro-Am All-Stars was scheduled. So they canceled it on me. I was like, all right, fuck it. I don't care no more after that. Because I just wanted to in the tracks of what Julian did. Julian, the only time I've beaten Julian was in Pro-Am. Last round, Thunderhill turn 10. And I got a second place podium, and Julian was part of my tree. And that's the only time I've beat him. Because after that, it's been like 11 million one more times. And like always the bridesmaid, never the bride. But it's super cool when you're just competing with the homie that doesn't care. He's just on drive time.
Yeah. That's the most fun, honestly. Driving with your boy, like competing with your boys. I couldn't stop laughing when I was driving with Julian.
Yeah.
Like it makes it so much more fun doing that. But to circle back around or to when like Julian and you were in like doing the Pro-Am thing, I think if I remember correctly, he like took an off season to like build his car for, I think it was like Pro 2 or something like that. But that's when it was like, I think it was like 400 or 500 horsepower cars, and then that same went to 1,000. You know what I mean? And he's just like, I can't do this.
2013, that was when the world changed of drifting. Daigo came, made everybody say, "Oh, no intercoolers." Hello.
Yeah, that is definitely a time. Like if you look back at somebody does like one of those cool videos and go back to the beginning and that 2000 whatever year that was a significant point, because after that, all over the world, even places that weren't FD, it changed. It actually changed D1 because D1 was watching Daigo, and then after that, man, D1 cars at the same time started just going crazy. R35s and VR38 S13s and shit that's cool, and we can all like scrimp and save and like make that shit happen. But it's like, you know what I mean, when it blows up, it's like, can you repair it? You know what I mean? Everybody can't do that.
The thing about that, like, let's just use that time period, 05 to 12. It was the lifestyle. It was the coolest lifestyle, the coolest cars. This car works. People made flashy statements. You had guys coming out with their cars looking cool and had the livery of like a Jordan 9. And you know what I'm saying? It was all about personality, style. This is cool. We're fucking rock stars. You can't do what we do.
Yep.
How we like our cars to look. This is what's up. So it was pride in low horsepower. Remember, Hachis, Corollas could still compete in FD at that time. 2015 happened. Horsepower wars exploded. Big fucking tires came into play, and then
quick change diffs and all that stuff, man.
I mean, but this in 2010, at the time we built this car, I could have gone through Pro-Am into FD with it. This would have been an FD competitive car. 400 horsepower, a little tire, but a light chassis. I could have gotten around a track, might have got my ass whooped because people had more grip and more power, but that could have happened. This car could, I don't even think it could do Pro 2. You know what I'm saying? It would be tough because there's so much that's required. The cars are so much faster now. The grip of the tires is so much higher. Right. The reason you can't do it, it'll break transmissions left and right, you know, and shit like that. So the time that Julian was in, he went to do it 1J car, and it was big power. It was always on the limiter. Things were always breaking. It was a lot of shit. And I know it was frustrating him because all he wanted to do was make his car look cool and do fun shit. So animal style thing really popped when all the red cars craze started happening. The lion livery on the side, and they did the parking lot video. that was just like, hey, that's where Julian wants to be, right?
Yeah.
So then you had two different groups of enthusiasts: the ones that wanted to go towards horsepower wars and FD, and the ones that wanted to just style, stance, drift cars looking cool.
Right.
And it was and then we had the other weirdos, the missile boys.
Yeah.
Great. Everybody goes a fork in the road, and the missile boys went straight in the wall.
Yeah.
But you got to kind of see the style change, the changing of guards change. A lot of then started to do just fun.
Yeah.
You could be a superstar doing fun drifts. Fuck all that trying to break the bank, get a million loans and credit cards to go pro, hoping to get a good contract.
Yeah, I think Forrest is honestly the only one left that
Fucking
has some style.
Yeah, we just talked
like,
about that.
Yeah.
Forrest at Winter Jam. Forrest is low key the fucking man, bro.
He is.
I don't care about drifting pro. I'm having a blast. I still get paid for doing it. I'm still a pro drifter, but I do it how I fucking want to do it.
So he didn't do the whole season, right? He did one of them.
He ain't in FD. He don't give a shit. All he did was the Super Drift Challenge in Long Beach because he's still a licensed driver,
right?
And he's still a threat. Car's still fucking low, still on.
Yeah, because he came out there for like that thing. I'm like, a few more warm up runs, man. He looked like, he could run right. He could run right now, and the car was looking good and everything.
Yeah,
man. So there's like.
He does grid life. He does all the shit in Arizona, and that is what I'm thankful for. Drift splitting like that. You get these really talented guys that make a work of art or creation. You got guys putting the time in on making something look really sexy, putting a livery on it, and then driving the shit out of it and blow it to pieces one event.
Right.
But they put that time in, make it look like, yo, that's sick. Let me get 8 million pictures of it right now, baby.
Yeah.
It's
familiar.
Yeah, and then one thing you mentioned too, Lex, man, like the whole thing with the animal style and everything, man, and the delivery and everybody started doing those, and the team stuff is like, of course, people seeing the video, they came over here and they did the whole the Super D Cup at Meehan, and like one guy that's kind of an anomaly that stands out, and we know each other, but we not homies, is Naoki. And of course, everybody knows his style. And then of course he just won the champion D1. So it's like he is giving when that happened, because he's one of those guys where like the dude just wants to drift. He just happened to be drifting in competitions. Like if I talk to some people who really know him, he's not really into he doesn't care about the whole allure of I'm a D1 champ. Like he knows what he can do. People around the world knows what he can do, and he just happened to win this year. And the thing about it, what they don't know. And I know this for a fact, is the dude's not rolling in tons of dough. Like they think that. Go ahead.
No.
He's a hillbilly, ain't he?
Yeah, he's like a very basic dude, man. From what I gather, the people I talk to know him, and again, it's just one of those things where we can the whole Pinku style, pink style thing. Again, we already talked about that on Matthew Stills' WitchCom. He cleared that up. The reason why the pink style thing came about after my business was already going, but. People kind of hit me up and say, hey, man, you should change your name. Like, nah, dude, I'm a business. Pink Style is a team that formed after Team Burst disbanded and all that. Do your history research out there, guys. I'm not going to bore you with that. But it was one of those things where, he gets the backing that he needs, but he's not like what's a good like Kawabata or a Taniguchi or one of those guys where they had like HKS backing. He don't got that.
He's not marketing genius.
He builds a car he can drive and he makes it happen, man. Very simple.
So Austin, no, go ahead, my bad.
I was gonna say so we went to Japan twice, and we went to Mahon, and so we're hanging around those guys, and Naoki's a goofball, man. He's pretty wild. Yeah, he's just it's I don't know.
Well, basically, what you're saying, man, is the guy that can drive like him. Well, normally, because we've all met these guys. Unfortunately, as cool as the scene is, we've all met these guys that take themselves way too serious. Like they're good drivers, but it's like they're thinking about calculations and angle coefficients. So I'm like, dude, chill the fuck out and go drift, dude. Like we don't got it. And Daigo's like that too, man. Daigo, for what he can do, Daigo's a chill fucking guy, man. Like he's like no shit. I've seen him drifting at Matsuri with a banged up 90, and then the next week he's lining up his car in America, ready to win another round. And it's like just do what you do. You don't have to have all the rock star antics and all that stuff like that, man. So people would assume that Naoki is probably, full of himself, or he's kind of like a dude that just he goes home and takes a bath and baths with yen money and stuff like that. That dude grinds, man. From what I know, the dude grinds like most drifters out there. And if they knew that, they were like, man, shit. You know what I mean? Just got to put in the time, seat time, and just make it happen, man. And not to say that his driving does get him some perks. I mean, he can make stuff happen too. He's not like he can make shit happen for sure. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. I think that's also another thing to kind of like circle back to, what kind of driving that I like is when we went to Mahon, seeing there was like 18-year-old girls like chugging harder than I've ever seen anyone. You know what I mean? Like the Mahon driving, like just that's I don't know that.
It's the seat time, dude. That's all it is.
Yeah, they're all like my inspiration. Also, is most Mahon drivers. Yeah. Like they are insane. They are still so far ahead of us.
Yeah.
So far, yeah, it was definitely very humbling going there.
Well, the reason why is a lot of people don't. When you guys visited that time, and I didn't know if you came on that trip. I wasn't actually did you come on that trip or not? Because I've been there since 2008 and everything, and I definitely seen came over. And also, I think that was the most magazines I sold after that event. Of course, it was in a magazine. And I think a bunch of you guys bought magazines for me because I still actually have some here. Like I got about 12 copies left. It was like a 2-page spread, and
which.
It was. I think it was I'm not sure which one it was, but it had all the Julian guys' cars and the red cars and everything, and they.
I think I have one. I don't know if I don't know which one it was.
I'll check it, but I know I got for sure at least 12 copies left. It was like 2018, 17, something like that. But the what I was getting at, man, was the difference between you guys probably seen. Like you guys call the events in the States. I know Lex always said, and I've heard it said it a few times already doing the podcast. We can drift 7 days. Like literally, when I click off on this, I can go to the track right now and drift right now. Yeah. So that's a difference here, and it's 45 minutes away. Here we don't do events unless it's an event. Other than that, 7 days a week. If you got the money, you got the time off of work, you got the time, you can go drift right now. So the seat time is what separates guys. I'm again 39, about to be 39. Goddamn, his son just got picked up by Cusco. Shinji Manawa, 12-year-old son, 12 years old, dude. I haven't won a fucking round of anything in my life, and he's 12 years old. And the thing about it, a salty guy would be like, man, fuck that kid. He, Shinji works hard, dude. Shinji's not he makes a good living. But he's not. It's different levels, and again, when I mentioned Taniguchi and Orito, those guys are different levels of money, different levels of drifting, and
they made it.
Yeah, they different level there, man. I gotta get into finances, but he put his son out there. Son was training at Nico. His wife's drives good, and the dude won. Won a thing, and like this marketing. He's 12 years old, and we see it all the time with motocross, skateboarding. Guys go pro really young, and snowboarding, they go pro really young. They grow up, and the dude that just won gold medal the other day in snowboarding, Ayuma, lost to Shaun White a bunch of times, and now Shaun White gave him a hug like, dude, you'll get your chance, and
that's retiring.
Yeah, that was so Shaun White lost and the dude won, but it was like Shaun White's 35 though. We think he's old. He's 35. He's only 35, dude. But he's been doing it 35 in snowboarding. You know how it is, man. 35 in anything like that. That's old, dude. That's real old.
Yeah,
man.
So Austin, like when now the legend of Austin is happening, and you've got your own your own unit driving with you, and you guys are doing events and, getting sponsors on your own under your own accord and everything. How's it feel being, now you're out here in the mix, and you're driving as much as you can, braking as much as you can, fixing as much as you can, and then getting ready for another event. How's drift life feeling for you at this point?
It feels good. It's very nice. It's awesome to have some help with these companies. They're amazing companies for sure. But I'm trying. I don't know. I'm trying to keep it as fun as possible, but at the same time, dude, like driving a ton, it gets tiring. Like having to get ready for the next one. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I have, for example, like I've been saying I need a break for like a year. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm so irresponsible. I just keep driving because I'm having so much fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of made it so I have an event in a few weeks, or in the middle of March, pretty much. And I told myself, like, after that one, like I have to take summer off. Like I need to, stack up some cash. I need to buy a truck because I've been borrowing people's trucks just to trailer my car. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
That life.
Yeah, the mentality though, man. Like I could just listening to you, man. I mean, the reason why, again, I just explained we don't really do events here. We just do days. Like in the States, like you guys, from what I gather, talking to a bunch of guys, you guys want to get all the driving in you can because they're kind of spaced out and like the track's not open to you just rolling up. So I can definitely understand that. Me, on the other hand, too, like I just listen to you guys. I need to definitely get out there more because I know I can go to the track 7 days a week, and for that reason, I don't have a urge because I'm building up my shop. I got customer cars, so I don't really like feel like I got to go to the track today. Is an event tomorrow. I'm like, all right, dude, I can go to the track after everybody leaves, and I can just do my thing by myself. And I just kind of go out there quick testing and everything. So the mentality is like we're the same, but it's like kind of a little bit different. If you lived in Japan, it would be the same way, man. So I definitely want to take advantage of that, and also not to be morbid, man, because I'm a combat vet and. You know what I mean? I've been in Iraq 3 years in a row, and you kind of think like this, and it's like, you know what I mean? We don't know when our time's going to come, man. None of us know. Yeah. And kind of putting things off. And like, for me, I haven't drifted competition-wise in 5 years, 6 years. And it's like one of those things where I kind of feel like, I'll get to it. But I got to think a lot of us need to stop doing that shit and just go do what we do and take advantage of that time, man.
Yeah. Well, for this year, for me, like everybody's like, oh, they're making New Year's resolutions. My thing is just more effort.
Right.
Put more effort into. I like more effort into getting shit done that I want to get done. More effort, all the way around. And it was like I remember those days. You're talking, Austin. I remember those where you were like, damn, I've been putting it all on the line.
Yeah.
Borrowing trailers, hustling up money if my check was. Not as much as I thought it was going to be, but I still got to pay that mortgage and all them other bills and shit. But I am dedicated to going to this event. I already paid for it. I got to get tires, gas, transportation costs.
Oh man,
expensive, man.
I don't know what you think about is the money is like if we all pause and stop like in this, we all have Ferraris right now if we want it. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? It's like
think about it. I remember those hustles. I remember those grinds. That's why I was so happy when we started Sonoma Drift. And that's why I kind of didn't like the quarrel with Sonoma Drift. People were like, blah, 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 this. And then people were for Sonoma Drift because when I went down to SoCal, right? Because at one point in time, SoCal was the pinnacle of drift drivers for California. Yeah. And I would go down there and I drive and they'd be like, damn, you like us. They were saying I was like the SoCal drivers. I'm like, no, I'm NorCal player. Like I come fuck with y'all a lot, but I'm from NorCal. So then when I'd be there and they'd be like, damn, this car's maintaining pretty good. Like you always put up a lot of drift videos. Are you just storing footage? I'm like, no, I drive. Yeah. Point in time, I was like, no, I drive 26 times a year. They're like, what? I'm
That's a
like,
lot of
dude,
driving.
Yeah.
that was at
Especially for a rotary one. That's the same one engine.
rotary.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm driving 26 times a year. I have Sonoma Drift. They were like, what's that? I was like, midweek on Wednesdays, we get to drift, do whatever we need to get our handles. And we have an event, you know, or whatever. And so I was spending.
That's the most. Sorry, that's. I think that's the most accessible thing that we have, honestly. Is
Yes.
Sonoma Drift. Yeah. But I think that also, like you mentioned, you can just go to a track and just have a day. You know what I mean? And it's I think it's a little bit more effort here to like. You can't really street a car in California anymore. You know what I mean? It's too risky and not, you know, a lot of people don't.
It wasn't too bad, but these fucking idiots in these G35s and these fucking Hellcats he fucked it up.
They're making it bad,
The laws didn't do it. No. It's this shit, this activity in the last 2 years. It's really fucking it up for us right now.
It is 100%. Yeah, they claim it as drifting. These sideshow shit, like. Come on, you know what I mean? Like, you're not making it any easier. Like, my car is not street legal. I don't think it's, as much as I want to put plates on it so I can drive up to Sonoma and drive, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not realistic. You know?
No. And I learned, Justin told me a long time ago, which is why I was always in SoCal, because it was like, I'm driving it so much, go down there, let's do a checkup, whole weekend of changing stuff, nut and bolting things, checking over stuff. Hey, while we're under here doing this, let's do the improvement. But told me, he's like, yo, just leave the car on the trailer. No more streets. It's going to be ready for you when you're ready to drive it.
That's the hard thing though, man. Because like, just like you're mentioning there, Austin, man, it's like, we were just talking about too, it's weird. I just rocked up today with a van with dirt bikes in the back, and I got another little van. So there was one point in my life where I was like, man, I'm always gonna drive solid mounted, loud ass, gas smelling, you know, poor gas mileage cars. And then around about right before I got married, man, it's like, I was like, man, I'm putting miles in my car. And what it was one D1 event. I could have won, but right when what happened that event, man? I think my something happened that malfunctioned, man, that normally doesn't break, but it's because I was driving the car every day, and my alignment got fucked up. So I mean, really bad. And I paid $280 for alignment. That's how much it costs here for laser alignment. And just doing a week of driving, I hit a pothole really hard, man. I'm talking about the wheel was really fucked, bent the tie rod and everything. I didn't have the money. I already paid for the entry. I already paid for the tow. Actually, I didn't have a truck back then, and like, it was like, man, all that wear and tear of driving your shit daily and this engine running and everything, that's taking away life on a track when you just need, like we said before, Lex, we just need that thing to last for what, four rounds.
Yeah,
and you're in there. And my shit broke in a qualifying. You know what I mean? And I drove that car all week, man. All week, all over town, all week. And then I needed that shit for fucking 1 minute. And it just broke on me, dude. And I'm like, man, I want to take the shit to the next level. And it's like, it's that point where you got to realize you can't drive a comp car like that on the road, man. It sucks, but it's part of life.
So I used to drive, like I said, I used to drive my 350Z to Sonoma just to do Wednesday nights or whatever.
Right.
But I think when I started to like progress a little bit and like try to take it a little bit, like not serious in like a competition, but like serious in like trying to progress, is when I got my 240 or whatever, and then I, you know, took the plates off it and like, you know, the reg or whatever, and made it so I would have to drive or like tow the car to the track, you know what I mean? Because like Thunderhill is like what, 3.5 hours or something like that for me. And I don't know, it's a lot better being in a tow rig with AC on than being in the middle of summer, you know what I mean? Like plus like you just drive a little bit harder,
right? That's what I was just about to ask you, man. So me and Lex had a lot of podcasts together. I was going to ask, because I will always ask guys this, man. Did you notice, you just said it, so I mean, I know the answer, but could you explain a little bit on the difference between rocking up when you know you got a way home, not the car you drove there, Did it change your psyche a lot and everything? Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, 100%. Because you kind of put yourself in a bubble. You know what I mean? 'Cause
Right.
you know you got to drive the car home, right?
Right.
So putting the car on a truck and trailer just kind of allows you to take, just a step out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or you can, I don't know.
So
Okay, it's kind of a bad example, but like my team. So I just had an event on my birthday or whatever.
Okay.
I towed, Derek towed. Aviel actually drove his car home, and he drove it to the track. And we were all out there just going for it. And at the end of the day, so he actually kind of like looped it and hit the wall with the back of his car a little bit. So the whole thing was like shifted up pretty bad, right? So yeah, at the end of the day, we're like, dude, like you were driving like we don't have to drive home, because I rode with him there.
It'd be like that video circling with that cat and the S13 was driving with the whole goddamn car caved in. It was just going. I don't know the guy.
Oh, on the left side?
Yeah. There's like he hit a goddamn C pillar or something like that, and he drove that bitch home.
In an intersection, and he's still driving the car.
Yeah, but hey, man, that shit like that is like, man, people, bro, before I got to Japan, I've done some crazy wild shit since I've been in Japan. Fuck, man, in the last 3 weeks, I've done some crazy shit, man. But with that, man, like, with I would say, what's the furthest you've been away from home, and your shit was like kind of fucked, man? For you, Austin, man.
Like with
just like
towing
or street or event, like what's the furthest you've been away from home? You've been like, man, I'm fucked.
Probably Thunder Hill, honestly.
Yeah.
That was when I had the 350Z. I think I like bent a tie rod or something like that on the small. They didn't even have the big pad at the time. It was a small skid pad, and it was already 5 o'clock, and I had to like make my friend give me a ride to like 3 different O'Reillys and AutoZone. And we couldn't find one, so we ended up what did we do? We took the tie rod off and
Hammer
went
time.
to we like the inner broke or whatever. The inner straight broke. So we took both sides of the inner to like a truck shop or something like that, and they welded it. Damn. Yeah, so it worked. It
worked, man. It worked. It's like, man, if we could just have a video, a podcast with a bunch of drifters in it. It's like, dude, just give me your, like, everybody has them, and that shit like that, man. It's like when we get older, that shit like that is like, is people like scared to take the risk. Like, oh man, I don't want to drive. That's been some of the craziest stories I've had, man. It's like, for me, man, the furthest I've been away from was Maze Circuit, which was one of my goal tracks to drive at, Drift Bible, all that stuff. And 11 and a half hours away from where I'm at right now. I drove down there, car full of shit. It was D1 divisionals, and I broke the what happened, man? I had an SR at the time, which I'm not an SR dude, and they had
you streeted car to D1.
Oh, I did that shit for like 6 years, man. Like all over.
That's crazy.
And I'm talking about I got everything in the car except for engine. I had transmission, arms, everything. And I bought the car from a guy, and the SR had a OS Geekin twin in it. OS Geekin twin, you gotta people who know, you gotta shave off the input shaft. You gotta shave off 2 millimeters. He didn't do it, so it smashed into the clutch, and it broke off the input shaft, input sleeve. And pretty much I had no clutch. So I just jammed that shit in third and tried to drift the whole track, and I fucking didn't qualify. And while they racing, I took the transmission down, took it out. I drove 11 and a half hours back to Misawa with no clutch. And when I got about an hour away from Misawa, the number 4 shit let go, man. So I'm spewing oil into my catch can, and every like 10 minutes I had to pull over and pull that shit back into the engine. That's how much it was fucked, man. And that was the last SR I ever drove, man, that day. And I put my RB back in there, and I've been good ever since. And speaking on that, man, what do you like? What engines are you generally using or utilizing for drifting?
I like personally, I like 4-cylinder engines, like the stock engine, or like an SR. An SR or a K. So I have a KT in my car.
Solid.
The engine was maybe like a 100 horsepower engine or something like that.
I'm a KT guy, man. I'm a KT guy.
Yeah, so and SRs, dude, they're getting real pricey these days. So dude. I kind of like just yeah, I try to do the math in my head. You know what I mean? Like if I spent like 2-3 grand, I can have a decent KT that'll it's better than NA.
Right.
Or I spent 6 or 7 to get an SR. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's
Mhm.
And let me
yeah.
let me
How
let me
did you
go what you about to say?
how did you like the SR versus the RB?
Well,
Like weight wise.
I've been like you said, man. I was a KT guy back in the day because I when I was in the scene, man. SR, if you didn't have SR, people looked down on you hard, man. And this was back in 2007, 2006, whatever. And CA was like, it was a little bit too much money to spend for the C18 versus what you want to get. So I went KT, man. So KT, I was on KT.org, and I was one of the first ones using the diesel turbos. The whole set is H1C. I was one of those guys. So had the 2.4 liter turbo, and then when I got orders to Japan, first thing I got was R33, and then I was RB from that point on. And the thing about it, man, like I want to correct myself. Well, not correct, but just let guys know I don't, because Drift to Goku wrote an article about me, and they fucked it up to the point where I don't get any SR customers because they wrote in there I hate SRs. So nobody comes to my shop. Yeah, and that's a whole different story, man. Where Drift and Goku, they can fuck you up, man. So I don't dislike SRs, man. S14 and S15 SRs I had better luck with, and they just feel more rigid than the S13 SR. They just seem like they updated the valve train a little bit better. S15, I've never broken one of those, and they cost more. But so I don't hate them. I just would prefer, if I use one, not to have S13 version because they're older. I mean, they're just older engines. And but the RB, man, it's just for me. Of course, we had Literal in here, and he's been getting dragged for the RB thing, the FD and everything. It's just the RB has a couple things you got to fix, and they work. And I've had my RB for like 8 seasons, man. I did 4 Matsurtis, man. 5 hours away, 5 hours up, drive there, drift, drive back. I did that like 6 or 7 times, and same engine is still right behind me in my shop, man. I still got it. And I haven't had the issues because I fixed the issues, and I press on. A lot of the dudes there with SR, RB, JZ, it doesn't fucking matter. You taking a used engine that's been beat on in Japan, and then you put a fucking whatever on it, and then you try to beat it again, shit's gonna break, man. So you see LZ having issues with the 2J. Daigo blows a lot of 2Js, but he never posted. Nakamura blows a lot of SR20s, but he never posted. Then you see him go with the 1J, 2J. So you see a trend there in here in D1 where it's S15 2J, S15 2J. Fucking FD Japan is S15 and 2J the whole fucking field. That's all it is. So it's pretty, it's and then of course
I think it's also just like easier to get power out of a 2J versus an SR. There's not 1,000 horsepower SR. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be competitive, like a 2J makes sense.
Right.
Like if I was competing, I'd do 2J for sure.
You just can't. It's a lot of guys just kind of being biased towards what they like and everything. Again, I like RBs, but at the same time, I like Jay-Z. I like anything that fucking makes power, and is the parts out there. Is the reason why guys not running SRs. There's the reason why nobody's running a CA. There's a reason why now the K24 and 2024 is popping off. And I see Sebastian over there still ain't get his thing running yet, so I'm gonna get him on the podcast. But the man, it's just like in the V8 thing, it makes I was honestly I was a disliker for the first couple years, and then when I got my first LS, I'm like, man, this shit's like I just had the engine and I just start taking oil pans off. I'm like, this shit is like a fucking Fisher Price Lego, man. Like it's easy to work on. It's engineered for weekend builder, dude. It's engineered perfectly for a dude who wants to make power, do events, and do cool shit, and not have to work too hard or whatever, man. So now I understand it. I got a couple LS ones here in the shop, and I'm gonna do stuff with JZX 110 and some other stuff. But yeah, man, it's just go ahead.
Do they have like a decent, like, are they importing LSs over to you guys?
They're already here. So they're in Japan, just like we do the whole JDM shit. Japan is just the same way with the US cars. So like I just got my customer one from a Suburban 5.3 liter for like $600, which is a little bit spendy for 5.3, but that's in Japan. But I got my 5.7 I paid about $38 for, and I sold it But there's a lot of LSs here. But of course, we want to bring one over, put it on a pallet, and get it over here. Shipping these Corona prices right now. But yeah, they tried it. Masanori, who won a championship last year, they tried it, but he was driving the LS like it was SR, and it didn't work out well for him, man. It was they Kumakubos, they blew his LS3 up. They got an LS7, blew that up, and then I was asking them, hey man, do you guys got an AccuSump? They didn't have AccuSump. So you know what happens when they didn't have they didn't have that to the last one. By that time, he already got tired of it and went back to the JZ. Yeah. So
I think like most of that is because they like us, like
it's
LS.
It's the unknowns.
It's so accessible. You know what I mean? And there's been like, you know what I mean? Like the engine is here versus you guys.
Right.
The 2J is there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
they got tired of hitting up Summit. Yeah,
exactly. Like we can get LS parts very easy. Yeah. You know what I mean? So.
It definitely makes sense, man, and everything. So it's one of those things where again you go to Russia, you look at their series, they got E36s everywhere, and Russian guys are big on 2Js too, man. But it's kind of cool if you look at the different series, man. Like the Ireland guys got their thing, Australia guys got their thing, and they got Barras over there. Nobody's really doing Barra. I never seen a Barra in FD yet, and I want to get one.
That's a lot of the reason why I did the K is because it's a lot easier to get. Like go to the O'Reillys and get something. You know what I mean?
Oh
like,
yeah, man.
This is an SR. Like if the coil pack went bad, like where am I gonna get one? You know what I mean? Like I got to start hitting up. Like I don't know. Yeah, that's. I try to build my car to make it as simple as possible. So like that's why I still run S13 LCAs instead of S14. I just run a big spacer because if I bend one, like they don't make S14 LCAs anymore. Right. You know what I mean? So I can just Rock Auto or whatever S13 LCA. It's like $60.
I see Lex over there smiling, man, because Lex like y'all talking all that shit, and I got the same rotary right here behind me. You know what I mean? it's like what's up with that, man? Y'all blowing shit up, and I got the same engine right here built by my boy, right here behind me.
Yeah.
But I know those dramas. I've had things happen, and part of the problem with my car is there's a lot of custom parts on, like battle version. They use a specific Heims and shit like that, but it's strong as hell, so it doesn't go, but it could go. But where do I get the replacement? And that's always the thing. It's like I've got so much custom shit on the car. If I mess it up, there's no replacement. But when we were developing this car, okay, if somebody hits me in this corner and messes up this oil cooler, I just detach things from this oil cooler and I have a junction tighten up this one and it just bypasses it.
Right.
What if I fuck up both of them? Well, the line is long enough that I still have a core in those, just the lines. It's like we kind of gave options. If it all goes bad, how do I keep running and keep competing?
Right. Right there, what you just mentioned is the difference between the American. I happen to be an American in Japan, so I bring a lot of that over here. So, for example, man, I was in D1, all that stuff, man, and I was the first guy in that range with a dual caliber bracket kit. They just blew their fucking mind. George, he drove the blue FC and I forgot how to say his Marcevic. I forgot how to say his last name. He's
Masanovich.
Yeah, Masanovich. Yeah. So he sold that kit, and it was simple, man. And I had that kit, the Mustang rotor, and they were like, "Oh, Sugoi, how do you get this? And you're not D." I'm like, bro, my dude selling kit for $100 and something, and we bolted on. Like in Japan, a dual caliber kit that was way beyond. That was like D1 GP shit, top shelf, because even the low end D1 GP guys couldn't get it. So like their mindset is like whatever Daigo pushes or whatever Taniguchi push, like that's what they see. So like what you just mentioned with the bypass, HKS sells a pipe that says if you crash your intercooler, you just buy this pipe and you put it there so you can drive home. It's a fucking tube. It's a tube with HKS on it. I'm like, dude, no, I'm not spending $300 for that shit. Or when you bust your intercooler, you got a dash 10 loop. That way you can fucking, you got two male connectors. You can screw that shit in and drive home or continue on. They sell that shit with Tomei written on it. I'm like, bro, no. And that's their mindset here is they wait for people to sell shit to them versus improvising.
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say. So being that I've been around so much pro FD shit and in preseason with the building stage of the car, the testing stage of the car, and then in through the season, there's so many variables. Happens this. If this happens, then this.
Right.
If this and this happens, then this, right? They got 3 to 4 different options for when it all goes bad. There is no quit, right? There's always an option to figure it out. In Japan, it always just seemed like I would see things or crashes and I'd see the driver like, oh, like it's over with. I'd be like, it ain't over, cuz. Like, that's not over. You know what I mean? Like, let's just say like at Hot Import Nights when Jalen backed my car off the trailer and turned the wheel the wrong way and went off the ramps and ripped my whole cooling system out. I'm like, oh, I got no radiator, nothing. How am I going to drive this car? Go to AutoZone, got a flex, and that motherfucker went from inlet to outlet. I was water.
Yeah.
I was
man,
water plug and everything. But I was able to drive it, you know what I mean? As I need. It's like I learned we don't quit. It's not something crazy might happen to this car. And I learned that from Julian and him, because Julian and I had an argument. We didn't see eye to eye at one point in time because I always wanted my car to be hella clean every time I drove it. Julian was like, it's a tool, bro.
Just drive,
Yeah, just drive the motherfucker. The 4 wheels go straight. Does the steering wheel work? Does the car work? Use it. And I'm like, hell no, that's not, I know, but it wasn't like, man, fuck him and this and that. It was just like, but I'm listening to you. I hear you. I get it. And then when I started to really, I was getting to the point where I'm not FDing it. I'm just having fun. And then when things would go wrong and I'd be like, I'm fixing this. All right, I'm fixing it. I'm fixing this. Some things, it was just like, I get the mindset. It's simplicity. Yeah. Right? I'm not about to worry about
I got it, man. This just popped in my head while you talking, man. You guys probably seen a shit going around. I know Matthew shared it. It got shared at like 90-something shares. There's
talk about
the height shit.
I think. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah. So because I want to get both of you guys' opinion on that, because it's like we alluded to Force Wing in the beginning. So of course I kind of got an idea what you
on I'm sorry, on who?
There was a
we'll talk.
Go.
That's what popped in my head when we talk about Forrest keeping his ride high, being a man, and still competing. So that's when it popped in my head. Do want to talk about that. But Austin, have you ever been in your car and you had a crazy wild accident and it's like, it's all good. We're all right.
Yeah.
We're just gonna keep the party rolling. Like, tell me about and this ain't a drive home thing. It's just like when your car, I fucked up and it's fucked up. And you know what I'm saying? What was that accident time, or have you had that accident yet?
The last time I drove Sonoma, I was chasing someone. I was chasing one of my friends, Lucas or whatever. And I was paying attention to where he was going. Or I'm sorry, I was chasing Derek, and Derek was chasing Lucas, and he kind of went wide, so I overtook him and tried to catch up to Lucas. But there was another car that happened to like spin out, so he darted to the left, and I didn't see the car until the very last minute, and I just went right into him, like, you know what I mean? So the whole front of my car got pushed in, and I was like kind of bummed because it killed the night or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, all right, whatever. But it's I don't know, it's to me, it's a tool. Like, of course, I want my car to look good. You know what I mean? Like this last event, actually, on my birthday, I was chasing Aviel, and I got a little bit closer than I should have, and he like aired down right before the lap. And he straightened up the pad, and then it spun me out, and then Derek came and hit me with the back of his car on the front of my car. It like ripped off my fender, the bumper, like. You know what I mean? Pushed in the headlight, and I basically like was like, this is not going to end my day. So I just took all that shit off and drove it. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, that's gnarly. I mean, we all have those days. I had my little rush right before Winter Jam when I destroyed this shit, and it was just like it was 2 runs back to back. I couldn't believe it, yo. I'm like, I can't fucking believe this shit.
We all have the,
Yeah.
even if there's small bumps, you know what I mean, or off days, like we all have them.
Yeah. But that's the thing. That's exactly it. We have them. They happen. Then it's like
that's drifting.
Yeah, it didn't.
You know what I mean?
Let's just keep it rocking.
Yeah. So I just sent Lex some because I don't want to like disrupt the feed right there. So I sent Lex. You see that shit? So like
that's okay. So yeah, let's just get into that. But, no. So you've got Austin. You've got your style of car setup. Your inspiration for car setup. I think you did mention it before, but what your inspiration for car setup is what?
Like Mahon drivers.
Right. Mahon drivers, right?
And cars, Kansai, yeah.
Cars. We know that their cars are set up because Mahon isn't smooth as hell.
No.
Right? They're set up for a little bit of terrain and some moving around and usability on all certain levels, right? So, and I seen this happening because FD Japan was like this 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. That fucking ride height shit, bro, where the car is 2 inches higher than stock with wheels that like Taniguchi did this. Taniguchi did this before, but Taniguchi is a style boy. So his car was really big, really high without the aero on, stock body, but all his aero on and fenders on, his car appears very low. It looks low. Same with this car. This car is stock height, but with the aero on, it's low. And these are the styles. And this was the compromise. I wanted my car hella low. JTP's like, blood, no, it doesn't work good. So we compromise. He'd raise it. I get home to NorCal, I lower it. I come back home and I'd lower it. Then it got to the point where it's like, okay, let's just get right here. We broke even. Yeah. And the rear ride height had to be a certain way because it squats so much. Yeah. And the front had to be high enough so that it didn't bind. Because I have spacers on mine too. My car is set up like 05. So it just has a little 10 mil spacer, but we wanted to clear the scrub radius, and so that was a compromise. But now you get those weirdos that are saying, this is peak performance, this is what it looks like.
Okay, to do that
brother,
shit.
Yeah. Oh, well, brother, it gonna be me,
Yeah.
Because FD sparked everything. When these are $1 million budgets, or let's not say $1 million budgets. Let's just say a couple $100,000 budgets. They're putting that much into their drifting, couple $100,000, $300,000 or so. If they say, I got to make this car work, that's on them. If young Joe and his homeboys say, we're about to raise our cars, that's the FD. They got hella shit on the line. You don't. Your car doesn't even perform enough. You're still rocking all seasons or scrubs from the local tire shop. Car, your suspension ain't as good as like I don't know if you've been around a car with like amazing suspension, like a KW V3 or something. A KW. You for racing, yeah.
Well, yeah, work, yeah, not so much for drifting, yeah.
Dude, it drifting. One click on just the suspension changed how the car drove. Just one click. And it's like, yeah, that I could see it. They got to force the biggest tire under there. They're running a narrow rim under a wide tire so that it balloons the sidewalls and hopefully holds the bead. Like, they're doing a lot of things out of necessity. That, what you're probably going to put up on the screen, that shouldn't change the culture of grassroots.
No.
Grassroots cars is purely about your style. This is why I love Proceed dudes, the Chicago dudes, so much, because they're like, I don't give a fuck what nobody doing, bro.
Yeah.
This is what the old heads did in Japan. This is what we got the style from and the style that we want to rock. This is what we're doing. I don't care about how competitive that silly shit looks. So yeah, like what's your thoughts on having 2 fists worth of wheel gap, you know what I'm saying, and your suspension on monster truck. Like, would you? Of course, everybody because we all would like to see how it feel. We'd all probably drive it, but would you be like, yeah, I'm gonna do my car like that?
Like an FD car or something?
Oh no, like this Kawabata shit. This man
I
is.
would. I don't know. I have a spot in my heart for low cars. You know what I mean? Like they look the best always.
Dude.
You know what I mean? But I have my car set up the B knuckle way. You know what I mean? Like like kind of not lowest offset front wheels, but a big spacer, so it has a lot of scrub, and you know what I mean, and a little bit of gap in the front. And I just do that because to me it feels. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right, like, reverse rake is
like that. It's like that car right there. Like
yeah. So the reverse rake, like I definitely. It feels better and easier to drive a car. Like not to say my car is the shit or anything like that,
but
but
it's just your
to drive
car, man.
a low, like a slam car. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't go as far as like 2 fists in the front, you know what I mean, and having a fist in the back of the car, stock height. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It's to me, like I've grown to like the Kansai rake, if that's what you want to call it. The look of it, but mainly just because it makes it easier for me to drive, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because that is a very good point that needs to be made. Slammed cars, like slammed on their shit, drive like shit.
They do. Unfortunately, they look fucking awesome.
Right.
They don't drive like. I don't know.
No, I could tell. Even because even right in the video we got right here, which I love the best motoring theme style right there, man. But that car is not like that. Like that car is a functional low. There's with the guys they confuse people who don't know, confuse your car right there. We're looking at on the screen with the dudes that slam all that shit down and everything. So it just went away, Lex. They popped up in there, but the that super slam where your shit's like tucked up in the fender, that's a different type of like you can't even turn your wheel like that. So people just assume that
it's really working at that point. You know what I mean?
I mean
work, This shit more rigid. Springs got to be more
right.
stiff. Yeah, and it's just at that point, then the car once it skids, it's just skidding.
It's just floating. It's floating. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Not doing anything dynamic. It's not really picking up speed. It is because of physics, but it's not because of it's like your car. When you look at this entry right here, once you chuck it, the rear suspension soaks up and you're on throttle and it pushes forward. That is a feeling you can't get unless your car is set up with suspension travel.
Right.
Hence why my wheels have like a 2-finger gap, but most of the pictures you see, my tires are tucking in my fender. When them shits push, they push. But when you're low slam hovercraft with a lot of camber, it's just like you're just sliding, you know.
Right. And even still, like again, train people who know. You look at keep running the video, guys who are watching. You look at the rear is like perfect. It's not like going below that line in the front. It's raising up because you're accelerating. It's going back and it's clearing that wheel. So a lot of people don't realize when they think the car, they can see it level, but when you get on it, it's going to go like this and give you that clearance right there that you need and everything. So that's proper clearance, man. That's not, and then that was kind of like 2000. That was like 2015, 16, 17 in Japan because you raised it up a little bit, and now like they're just up there, man. Now.
For your lead tech, your engineer, and he can do a car check while you drive away.
And some of that was Manami, because there would be different setups for when you jump Manami. You couldn't be like, for example, in your car. Is that Thunder Hero or so? No. Okay. So like that one, like if you jump your car like that as it sits, it would just bottom out. It would smash everything because of the Manami. And then also like the FD, the reason why the guys that don't know their cars are a certain height is most FDs are a bank to a flat. So if you transition You know what I mean? You're gonna smash all that shit up, man.
Wheel is going crazy, like slam the wheel. You know?
Yeah. So it's
you can't drive a slam car in Minami, like
So it's different. So that's why people think like they can take you can't take your car everywhere and do the same thing. Like your ratios have to be different: 4-1, 4-2, 4-3, 4-4, 4-5, 4-6 diff for some guys, depending on if you got a 300ZX transmission, Z32, the CD09, the whatever, man. So that gets to the little tech shit right there, and then people got to realize like a lot of guys out there, I think they don't know their setups, and they just buying what they see you run or Lex run or anybody else that's out there in the limelight running, and they don't realize they got to set that shit up. It took you years to identify what you needed for your setup, and it gets more technical, and that's the side of drifting that a lot of guys don't they don't really never learn, and they just quit.
Or they just will bypass it and just say, "I'll fuck it and deal with it."
Yeah.
Like I never to do that. Justin would watch the car drive. He'd be like, I'd come in and he'd make a change. He'd go out. Then I go out and be like, oh, okay, that's better. And he'd be like, come in. And be like, God damn, gotta get in the flow. All right, change something, then go out. And then once we got it set, and then we'd sit all weekend or all evening after the track in there, messing with the suspension, the angle, the alignment. Okay, full angle does this. The car weight jacks at that point. We want the weight jack not to happen because we've got enough squat here. All the dumb science shit, and we changed it, and we got the alignment, was like, all right, this is your alignment for this car. So that's why it's kind of like when people ask for like, oh, well, what's your set? Mine may not work.
Like what's your camber, man? What's your camber settings? Like, nah, dude.
Yeah, I could tell you, but it doesn't make sense maybe because yours doesn't do what mine does. Like my front coilovers, they're notched. They're notched just a little bit.
So is that a question for camber? Is that what you're talking about?
So I can slide the lower, like if you're to do your coilovers, you got your top bolt, your lower bolt, and you loosen that just a little bit. Yeah, we could slide that and do. It's like little, you know what I'm saying? All the shit that you learn, trying to make it.
That's what we do in S chassis. We'll we'll oval out the top nut so we can push the knuckle in a little bit more. I mean,
yep. Yeah, it's all that cool shit, and then it's like, so if you had a stock FC without that kind of stuff, I can't tell you this is gonna work for you.
Right.
You might and say, yo, this drive like shit. That nigga's alignment sucks. But not my car. You drive my car, you'll be like, God damn, this is harmony, and it's pretty gnarly. So
it's. I was gonna say it's funny that you mentioned JTP and like him setting up your car. It just kind of like brought me back. I remember going to an ASB. It was a long time ago, and this is when you had the green FC. Mm-hmm. That thing, I remember that thing being. He was a weapon in that thing at that event. I remember that thing was.
I loved that car.
Car was so good.
Sucks that fools took it.
Yeah.
But it was the unfortunate truth about it is that car was phasing out.
You guys see the picture that's put up there?
See them tall ass
fucking. I didn't know if you could see it or not. So I just. Yeah, man. So my bad, guys. I didn't want to mess up the feed, but I forgot I got this stuff on my phone right there. But yeah, so
This car was phasing out.
That's that car that Kawabata did a video on, right? With like crazy spacers on
it. Yeah.
So basically, I don't honestly. It's weird. I live in Japan. I don't really follow. I sell Drift to Goku, but I don't read them. I just it's weird. But unless I'm in it or some shit like that. But I don't really follow what they all do now because I'm doing my own thing, and it's a real big thing. People like, oh, you don't hang out at Top Secret, and I'm like, nah, I don't, man. I do my own thing. I got my own shop, running my own thing here, man. But so I don't really keep up to what they're doing. Obviously, what you guys see, that's Kawabata, which is still active, and you got the Taniguchi, who's retired, never retired, but he's retired. And they're just so what happens. This is what happens, man. For example, the K2024 swap that everybody's doing now. I've gotten a few customers that have hit me up and they want to get it done because now somebody, I think Daigo or one of the guys spoke on it. So in Japan, it's not a thing until one of the big dogs like hey man, this is what it's supposed to look like. So now,
I heard Naoki's even trying to.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it makes
Yeah.
sense. So you guys do that, but so yeah, it's just one of those things where the guys will they wait. It has to be. I can say it all day and say, hey man, you know, I run LS1 calls, for example, on all my RBs and everything, and I sold some to a few guys. And the thing is, the hang up is that the one guy that I get them from, his kit, he doesn't get the new ones because the new ones are counterfeit. So he gets OEM used coals, test them. He makes the bracket for me. That's Mojo Performance. He makes the bracket, makes the wiring harness for wiring specialties, and they bolt on great power. And I can push that all day, and I've been pushing it for like the last 4 years. It'll take fucking Daigo, and I keep saying the name because it's real. It'll take Daigo or one of the guys to say, hey man, buy Mojo, and then it'll be a fucking flood. And the reason why is because I never won a championship. I can drift, whatever, blah, 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 but they stack it on, have you won a championship? Are you placing top 4, top 5? You know what I mean? That's life. That's what everything, man. So they're gonna take the information from the top 10 guys before they take it from a dude who's never won a fucking round. You know what I mean? So I respect that and I understand it, and I stopped. I was like, hey man, you guys get this much power with the RB, just blah blah blah, and I just stopped pushing it, and I do what I do, and my cars run well. So it's one of those things in Japan where and long story short, they're gonna do the mass drifters are gonna do what the top guys doing. If the guys who are below them are getting good results but are not the top guys, they're not gonna listen, and it kind of sucks, you know.
And that's kind. I guess that's kind of what we're doing, also.
Yeah.
Like just kind of different way, I guess.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, but it's more bad here because they really don't like. You have your style and your individual and what you like. They're told what their style should be, and that's you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. That's how they run here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
That's interesting.
So yeah, but we kind of get it because we kind of getting long in the podcast, man. You said you came over twice to Japan, man. How was your trip in Japan, man? What was something that was shocking to you? And one thing I will say is I forgot who said it in the video, but it was like they came over here and we're doing the same stuff. I'm like, dude, because it is the same. The grind is the same. It's just a different world. So how was the trip for you, man?
I think it's a little similar, but I wouldn't say it's the same at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like as far as the driving,
right?
Like because it's so accessible to you guys, and like you guys could just drive the car to the track. You know what I mean? Like
right.
When the first time we went to Mahon, it was mind blowing.
Right.
Like how fast, like getting up to speed. How they're entering like the line, like even just riding with Fujio or whoever it was, like they're so like precise with what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like if they were off a little bit, like they'd be like, no, that wasn't good. You know? And I think that's the difference between us and them, at least for like the grassroots stuff. You know what I mean? Like we're just trying to do, you know what I mean? Like here. And then they're like, if they're not like this far off the wall and they're not taking that like the correct line at Mahon, like it's not a good lap.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I guess seeing that was like mind blowing. It still is. Like I want to go back again to like just experience it again. You know what I mean? Like it was, I don't know. So exciting.
That was the only track. That was the only track you got. I mean, you pretty much came over there. Your cars are there. So was that the only track you guys hit?
Yeah.
That was
the only track that we.
Okay.
Yeah, was Mahon.
Yeah,
we went to the skid pad at the bottom. I don't know if you've been there.
That. Yeah.
So I think the first day we were there, but the second day or something like that, we went to the main course.
Yeah. Yeah, they got I was just actually in Osaka like about a month ago and everything. I've seen it, but I've been by, but I never drove there. And that's weird. That's weird. I'm here. I've pretty much conquered, if you want to say, the Tohoku area, which is pretty much up here where I'm at. I'm in the top of Japan, mainland, and then of course the BC was 5 hours from me, and Nikko and all that stuff. So I've pretty much been to all those. Mobara is like in Kanto, Chiba. So I've been to Mobara, and but I haven't drifted. I haven't drifted below. I would say like Yokohama. So I've been to all the tracks all up and down there. So it's like I know all the guys here, And believe it or not, man, it's a whole different. I want to get down to the Kansai because there's a whole different vibe that I know that's there that I haven't experienced, and different guys and different tracks. And I got trucks so I can get down there. So that's my goal actually this spring, man, to get down there and meet new guys. Because up here is just kind of it gets just getting stale. And BC, of course, Manami went away and all that stuff. And Matsuri is not as it's cool. If you haven't done Matsuri, you definitely got to do it one time, but it's not the same, man, how it was back in like the early 2000s.
I heard a lot of, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard a lot of like Japanese people don't really like to go to Ebisu anymore because it's so flooded.
They don't.
Yeah,
it's just flooded
with
Australians and the Australians, New Zealand, Americans. Not so much Americans anymore. Australians and like the whole thing, man. Like it's just like, you know how we do, man. In America, man, it's just wild. And you know, it's kind of like the snowboard culture where dudes are fucking up hotel rooms and drinking beer and shooting fireworks, and that shit, while it looks cool, the Japanese are not really. They don't really do. They don't carry on like that. So it just makes the environment. So right now in the Ibisu, man, honestly, I don't go there as an American, because it started getting crazy, man. And like they look at you like you're the bad guy, and I'm like, I just hit a fucking drift. So then I would go to Ibisu, and I'm at Ibisu and I'm drifting by myself because they're in a little clique and they don't like black guys. This is 2020, whatever shit. They don't really like, you know, darkies or whatever they call it over there. And different shit. This is real life shit. I'm not lying to nobody. And the Japanese are in their crew, and I'm like, man, well, everybody's in their own little cruise, and I'm by myself, so I'm drifting the whole Matsuri and shit. It's fucking lame to be drifting by yourself, man. You know what I mean? It's kind of it is what it is. So I stopped going. For that reason, and I've done a bunch of them, so it just got old to me, and I just want to go see new shit, man. So. Definitely, man. Whenever you're looking to come back over here, man, just let me know. I got cars here, different things. Like I told Lex, and we can make it happen, man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, good tight. I definitely. When this COVID shit is done, man, I'm over there. Yeah.
We were just talking about that before you came on, man. I came to Atlanta to do the joint at Atlanta Motor Speed Park, and it was pretty cool, man. And a bunch of guys are there, but. I lost, 15, 16 days away from business, just, the whole quarantine shit and all that. So I'm pretty much stuck here until this.
Oh, did you have to quarantine here?
No, and when I came back, when I came back from Wishcom, I had the 16-hour flight, then I had to drive 8 hours back home because I couldn't take any public transportation. So that shit, not quarantine here. I quarantined actually here where we're doing the podcast. This is where I was sleeping at and shit, man.
Damn.
So, it is what it is, man. But yeah, man, that was just cool.
So,
go, Lex.
So, with how you've got everything going on this year, and then you're saying you want to take a quick break for the summer, what's your plans though, as far as the future holds with your driving? Like, where do you see, your evolution for this thing?
Yeah.
Where do you want to be? Like,
where do I?
2 to 5 years. Where do you want to be at as far as drifting? What do you think you're gonna be into as far as that goes? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't. That's a. I don't really know how to answer that. You know what I mean? Like drifting is constantly evolving. You know what I mean? So, but as long as at the end of the day, it's for fun. Like I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? So I guess. Hopefully, I could be continuing or doing this for the next 5 years. You know what I mean? Because like you were saying earlier, like we don't know if we're gonna be here tomorrow. Like,
yeah. Family. Are you you got any kids or anything like that?
No.
Are you so you single? So like you're a little bit different, man. As far as being single is like if you have 5 years, you could have one, man. We never know.
Yeah.
And that kind of changes things a little bit. Not a lot. Not a lot as people make. I got 5 kids. My oldest just start riding dirt bikes with me and everything. So it's like, man, they just become like your hangout partners and stuff. So that's pretty cool. But they kind of like, I want to take them to drifting. I took them drifting last week, snow drifting and everything. Had them in the car with me and stuff like that. And it was pretty cool.
Nice.
So you kind of, now I kind of get back to it. But for the reason why I was away 5 years was the business, and I got my wife pregnant at the same time. So I had a double whammy. So I was like, I had to pull money away from it, and I didn't want to, but it was like, you know, I mean, I just had to take care of and everything. But it's, you know, what I mean, it's just, it'll be, in a nutshell, man. It sounds like your drifting will just be what it's going to be, and then like wherever it progressed to, like you're setting your style, and that's cool. You got your style, you got what you want to do. So maybe 10 years from now, there's going to be some shit on, like you got to have like reverse rake to drift or some shit like that, and it'll be a trend in like the
trend is gonna be.
It'll be some new shit, man. So it's it'll just, for me, I mean, one case in point, as you mentioned the B knuckles, my knuckles are just regular ass cut and shut knuckles, man, on my comp car. I don't have wise fab, I don't got GK, nothing. I don't got nothing against it. I have nothing against those guys, but like I don't for what I do and my style and competition, we're not doing any back entry competitions during an actual event that don't gain you points. So I got enough angle. I got more than enough angle with my setup. My rack is moved forward and all that stuff like that. So my car is, to me, perfect. So I'm kind of stuck in a capsule where I don't, you know what I mean? So what's your thoughts on that, man, where a lot of new guys they want to get all angle in the world in the LS out the box, man? What's your thoughts on that?
I think people are just there. I mean, I even did it myself. Like I said, my first video I've ever seen was Ryan Turk. You know what I mean? And that's from me, like going on YouTube, typing in drifting. You'll see you know, whatever video, and it's 9 times out of 10, it's not a burst driver. It's probably a pro driver, right? So people from the gate get started with like, oh, wise fab, 1,000 horsepower cars, rear mount radiators. So they're like already like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I see it all the time. Like a lot of kids they're overbuilding their car and they're forgetting the simple. You need to drive. Like, you need to like get a car, do a couple things to it, coilovers, weld the diff, and like just drive. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then progress your car as you progress your driving. That's what I look at, and that's why I make my car or have my car so simple, is because I'm progressing with it. Like I just did a Z32 trans because I keep blowing up transmissions. You know what I mean? So I just dumping money into the car after, you know, fix the problems and go with your progression.
So that's no fault on you. I mean, like I say, what you've seen is what you've seen when you first got into it, and that's again. I don't really care what people think, but I just want to clear up for clarity. It's not that I'm knocking at guys that are coming out the gate with the wise fab or whatever. Like that's what you want to do. You spend your money on it. It's cool. But then it's like almost all the guys. I see some guys that got into it, and then like I seen one guy recently, man, who just like put all that shit up for sale. He's like, I thought this is what I wanted, and he's a middle-aged guy, probably like late 20s, and he's like, man, I don't need this shit, and he sold it and everything. And the guy's like, man, why you take it off your car and blah blah blah, and he's like, I drove with a car that was like regular B knuckles, and I liked it a lot, and he took it off, man.
Yeah. I mean, to each their own. Like everyone, you know what I mean? Like whether you like a low car, I mean, hopefully not a missile, but like, you know, like a pro car, like whatever you want to do, man. As long as you're having fun, just, you know, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm a firm believer.
Yeah, the whole missile.
Keeping it simple.
Yeah. For sure, the whole missile shit though, we all kind of see on the same page of that. I did a lot of my series, man. I wasn't into that. I wasn't into that.
Yeah, a lot of people here too. They'll like claim their car as a missile, but
that's
like,
just a shitty car.
Like that's your piece of shit car, bro. You have to have 2 cars and one of them be a missile. You know what I mean? Like, nah, dude, your car is just clap, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
fucking bozos on DDE said that that Viper that they were building, this is gonna be a drift missile, and I'm so glad they got Dean Carney on there. Dean said this isn't a missile, dog, and he's like, well, what's a missile? He said, not this.
Not this. It's like not this one. Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
He gave definition. He said a missile is something that you're going to run into walls and shit. We're gonna do that. We ain't gonna call them missiles. We gonna call them don't give a fuck cars. Like, but this is like so funny, that missile thing. That missile thing went out of context as soon as it hit the States. It's like You got one car, player. It's not a missile. It's just shitty.
It's bucket. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that
So
kind of when Abisu came down on it, because that one guy got paralyzed, and they were saying like the dude didn't have the side impact, and the car was fucked. I mean, it couldn't withstand like a crash, and that dude broke his neck or back or something like that. And after that, Abisu, if you're not aware of, I'm pretty sure you heard about that, Austin, man. But Abisu came down with you got to have a seat, you got to have windows and glass, you got to have or Lexon, you have to have roll cage.
This was a couple years ago.
Yeah, this
right?
one too long ago, and then it outraged like Stewie. Everybody knows Stewie Bryant. Stewie Bryant is a loose guy from Australia. He was one, and Stewie's one of like Stewie. He has his missile car, but underneath, people don't know that shit has like thousands of dollars worth of fucking suspension work on it. He runs Stewie's a weird one, but he didn't like them telling him that he can't have a loose car. And for
Alexi was the same way too, right?
Yeah.
With his beer can, he was pretty upset about it.
Yeah, I mean that a lot of guys came down and they just was like, "Hey man, like you guys are tough." Like that, it just kind of took away the thing. And after that, honestly, Masuri just kind of took a plummet as far as his stock, and people stopped coming, and Stewie doesn't come back, and a lot of the top guys who people wanted to see drive from Australia stopped coming because they were coming there to have a good time, bang shit around. But their missiles were like, if we crash, it's cool. They weren't aiming to crash, but if we crash, okay. But now you're telling me I got to have a car like this and blah blah blah, and it started to take away that. So I'll say all those guys had nice cars. They got one or two nice cars, and the missile was just So but if like you said, if your missile is your only car, no, you just got a shitty car. Like you can't keep claiming that only car is your missile. It's like, nah, dude, you just got a shit car, and you're calling the missile to make yourself feel better, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man.
I think I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the missile generation or whatever you want to call it is starting to fade off.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Too much shit on Instagram.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, oh yeah, dog, I can drive hard. Somebody with something epically show car clean is gonna say, yeah, me too, motherfucker.
Yeah. But then you got the guy that we talked about earlier who tacoed his S chassis or whatever. Now he's selling merch off of it. You know what I mean? Like,
how it the fuck up?
Dude.
Yeah, it's a whole it's a whole different thing, man. Where it's weird, man. It's only, I mean, it's great because again, like I always say on the pod, I'll say this every time when we bring up social media. We're three guys in three different zones of the world. Same, you guys in the same zone, but we're making it happen on social media. So it's great for this stuff right here, and just connecting and linking and sharing ideas and everything, and also showing the similarities. Again, I just met you today, Austin, formally, and it's like the same shit you've been through. I've been through it. I will go through it, and we've all been through the same things collectively. So that guys who are listening and watching, if you're into some shit, everybody's been through the same stuff, and that brings us together. But at the same time, man, it's just, even with that, you're gonna have individual. Like again, I like what I like. Lex like what you like. Austin, you like what you like, and there's nothing wrong with any of that. We all do our things, but at the end of the day, we all fucking popping a clutch and going sideways, or how the fuck you get sideways. Some guys like the hover on the e-brake. I don't particularly like that, but you know what I mean? It's like, you watch the video and the guy's just like driving like, boo, put your fucking hand on the wheel, man. Like, it's like, this like this hovering his hand. Like, I don't know if I'm going to need this. I'm going to keep it right here and one hand on the wheel. It's like, you know what I mean? Hey, man.
Here's a questions to ask. You can only answer them two ways. Handbrake or clutch. Right? So handbrake or clutch kick is your only two options. You got a 400-foot front straight into a hairpin. How are you initiating, Austin?
What do you mean, dude? You already know the answer. I'm fading into that. I'm not. There's no drive straight into it and then handbrake in. There's none of that.
All right, you're coming out hairpin. It's a short little straight going into a nice sweeper. How you entering into that?
The same way.
Okay. Turn, right? You got an S turn, but you there's a little bit of a distance between one to the other. How you entering into that?
Not lunging.
All clutch kicks. It's so, because today earlier I was watching some Jimmy Oaks video. I've pretty much been very entertained with all those dudes hanging out, Rudnick, Tommy F. Yeah, and all them going out there, drifting out there at Adam's spot. But all of their in cars, even Adams, it's just like, brrr.
I know exactly what you're talking about. No, they were at OSW driving straight up to the corner and then handbrake in. Like,
I'm like,
and by the way, guys, I didn't see that video yet, so I'm just
Dude, we've done it at Thunder Hill. It's surrounded by walls.
Yeah.
And it'll be dude, I've had the car crossed up. I'm looking this way, but the nose of my car is faced the wall, bro, just to yeet that bit. It's like the dopest entry ever.
It's faster. Yeah.
Man, you're on throttle the whole time. It sounds cooler. And what isn't, I mean, I get the sometimes, because we know we all do use our handbrake.
Right.
We do a flick and pull the handbrake, but we're already like this. It's not initiating it into that. But the coolest part about those quick rate to angles is the car's sideways already. And now you're planning your way through this backside of the corner. You already dialed in the front side. You're like, I'm going to slide up to this point and then hammer it. You know, I look at guys that do those handbrakes, just dragging it in, and it's like, damn, bro, like you just
boring. It's boring.
You're scrubbing a lot of speed. And I think,
if I'm driving with someone, like I'm not gonna chase that. Like, I mean, like, I don't know.
You get the brrr, brrr, brrr.
Yeah.
It's like,
but then, Lex, explain if you can explain, because again, you've been around JGP and all that stuff. The run up on the FD is like, you know, when you see them, they all kind of they do it. So people be like, man, what's the FD does? But FD is a different kind of. They're going a lot more faster than you going, and then like, you know,
I was just gonna say their shit is very different.
Right.
When you see them babysitting the handbrake, it's because they're controlling the wheel speed of a 1,200 horsepower car. They're controlling the grip of such massive rear traction. So when they're doing things like that, like even JTP, when he changed up his entries are a rolling burnout, which is a very shallow angle feint. And then he's on handbrake and then back to it. But when they're doing it, it's really hard. You cannot do like our little light engines. We be like, wop, bop, bop. It changes RPM so quick. Their shit has so much energy behind it. You could be like, what, and let off the throttle, and that motherfucker's bleeding off energy still. And it's just like, well, let me stop these tires. So they can do clutch kick more. But ours, when we clutch in and let off, it's dropping RPM really quickly. So theirs is just a different necessity. It's a different beast. They're riding around 3,100 pound cars. We got these 2,600 pound joints, you know what I'm saying? Just fucking flinging them at shit. And then
every now and again, you'll see like Matt Field or even Osbo. Like you'll see everyone driving up to the corner and handbraking in, but you'll see them like shallow and then whoop up. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what, to me at least, like separates in FD at least, like an exciting run versus like just the same shit I saw like 10 minutes ago. You know what I mean?
Like Irwindale, right? They come off of this bank at Irwindale and you got hella speed, and us drivers, we're looking at them, all right, how you gonna give it up? Because you know you're coming in like this, and then you're like, just stay in it and chuck that bitch and pick up maybe, and then chuck it back the other way. When you see a dude come off the bank and he's like, like, yo, that looked just as boring as it felt.
And what that comes down to, man, is that's the difference where a lot of guys don't care about the. And I didn't want to do competitive drifting. Then I got in. I'm a competitive person by nature. Then I got into it. Then I'm kind of like, it's like every couple of years I flop back and forth, and they're thinking so much about the fucking result, you know, of pleasing the sponsor, pleasing the, you know, because they're not on their own dime completely, and they gotta, you know, they want to maintain and everything and not get cut. So it's like they just want to qualify. So you see guys taking it easy in a qualifying, and then they try to. You gotta just go hand, like that's why I like the Nofa man, because you kind of know what you're gonna get with him in his runs, and he's gonna. They just gonna go.
Who else gives up the goods when they're with the Kristaps Blues, like those
Yeah.
Matt be trying to drive that fucking vet like it's an S13.
Right.
He does, yeah.
It's those are the runs that it's like win, lose, or draw.
It's gonna be cool.
That was
yeah.
I like that's why I be just face palming every time Kyle Mohan drives.
Because you know what he's capable of. Yeah.
Fucking cool. And you're driving it so boring like, man.
I think also what like another thing that has to do with it is the track layouts in FD.
Yeah.
So
you know what I mean? Like you have to
go fast, slow down, go fast again.
Exactly. Versus like D1, it's a little bit different. Like the, you know what I mean? Like the entry is a lot different. Like there's not like big fucking sweepy tracks. Like you flip a brake just to keep up on the bank. You know what I mean? Like there's none of that. I think that's. I don't know.
I want to see. Well, real quick, man, because I don't want to hold you too much longer. My wife's bugging me on the phone, so I can check my phone. What do you think about Gucci coming over to FD Japan, driving for?
That's sick.
Yeah. How do you think that's going to go?
He's the man. I hope it goes well, man.
I do.
Great driver. Yeah, he's the man.
Yeah, so that'll be pretty cool to see him over here and everything.
Do you know if he's doing the full season or is it?
To make an announcement like that, I'm willing to bet he's going to do more than a couple rounds. He's Japanese, you know, and all that stuff like that. So versus like, you know, as far as he's going to stay over here and do all that stuff, I'm not sure. I don't think he can, because they're starting to run. I haven't looked at the schedules, but they're starting to run FD Japan and FD US kind of
close.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. Like for example, Daigo, he's been kind of like Daigo's like doing whatever, man. He's made a good amount of money. He's probably one of those Daigo, JR, one of those guys, the handful of guys that actually make profit from sliding.
Yeah.
And it's a handful of guys. That's it. So
here's a question. You work at a race shop around grip cars.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's I was actually gonna bring that back up. I was gonna bring that back up because so you guys were saying something about like where I can see myself in 5 years. I'm gonna have a grip car, 100%.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's gonna be. Like my bosses, my coworkers, they're constantly trying to talk me into E36, which is like the right thing to do because they have like the knowledge and they have championship winning cars. You know what I mean? But I want an S chassis. You know.
Cool. Yeah. When I drive up to these grip events and they look and they're like, "Aren't you a drifter?" And I'm like, "Yeah, a driver, yo."
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They're so when I talk to them and like even like our clients, you know what I mean? Like I say I'm a drifter and they're like, "Oh, you know, show me a video," and I'll show them a video and they're like, "Dude, like you fucking kill it in grip driving because you understand oversteer and understeer, like you can predict it super fast, like you know what I mean? Like you have the edge against someone that's just hopping into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Video I put out when Joe McGuigan put me in his MRS. All he said was it snap oversteers.
Yeah.
Hits rev limiter in $9,000. I said, all right, at Laguna Seca. And I get a lap battle with this dude in this S2000, and I'm coming down corners sideways and whatever. And I've already was doing it in an RX-8. Like guys were like, "Damn, dog, you had that thing pretty sideways, and I didn't hear you lift." And I'm like, "Yeah, because that's not what I."
Yeah, because you're gonna go like this.
Not what I. Yo. Yeah. So then when they be like, "Well, where did you learn that?" I'm like, "Oh, I drift. Like this is something I used to do as a kid."
It blows their mind, dude.
It's like I don't really care about lifting because I know how to use the track. And if I'm right here trying to hug the apex and the car gets sideways, boy, I got hella track. I'm not even worried. You know what I mean? It's like
that's another thing too. Like we know race line from drifting. Like it's a little different, but it's really not. Like it's you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what Austin, because I mean, Lex talking about it too, man. The because I do. I mean, of course, drifting is what I kind of made my name here in Japan. But as far as the people who do know, but I do grip dropping as well, just as much because for me, I actually just got in a rally because there's different group of guys there, and then bikes and all that stuff like that.
That's
So
just
the
scary.
yeah, so like I do grip, and then like you say the guy there's two different, like the grip guys do not come to drift events here in my local track, and then vice versa. So what they'll do, there'll be a grip event in like the early part, and then you'll see some of the drifters trickle in. I'll do both, and they're like, "Well, you're a drifter." I'm like, "Nah, dude." And then I'm not only am I there, I'm fucking running laps around them, and they're grip drivers. And then I get bored. I start doing a grip drift thing, which me and Lex talked about. And I'm going to try to get that event on at my track, a grip drifting event. Like
I've talked about this. We want to run high grip front and back.
Yeah.
And
in the D car,
yeah, in the drift cars, drift a little bit, grip a little bit.
Right.
The whole.
I was doing that on New Year's Eve. Like I did maybe like 4 drift laps total, but the other like 10 or 15,
you could just switch and you could switch like that.
Yeah, just a little bit of oversteer, like
that's something that a grip guy, a pure grip guy can't do that because because one thing is like you got to get used to a grip. You staying here. Drifters, we kind of like do our thing. We're all over the wheel, kind of. And like they kind of they'll fucking hold on to the wheel like, no, let that bitch go, man. Let that fucking wheel go. It's like
I get about that all the time because now these grip guys follow me on Instagram and they're like, "You're all over the wheel." I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, I let that wheel go when it gets sideways, but I never let the throttle go.
Right.
It's know where the wheel's gonna go because I've done so much drifting, right? And it's pure physics. I feel this G-force.
They be fucking like this, trying to catch the wheel and shit. Like, nah, you don't do
that.
My feel like this, and they're like, "What?" But when I did drift instruction at Bay Area Drifting with my boy, I would get the grip guys like, come to me. I'm gonna show you how not to fly off the track. How to stay in the race. You're going to be sideways. You may have worn a lap or two off of the tire just from one corner, but you're going to stay in the race. You're going to get that position back, and you're not going to be off the track and just killed, especially in endurance. Like, say you do 8 hours worth of driving, and you got pressured and tired for a quick second and just fucked up one lap. Lost 12 fucking positions or something because, you ain't just driving back on track. You got to let guys go by or something. If you just slid that corner, you like, ooh, all right, I fucked up. Let me wake up. Let me get my shit together. Let me get this position right back. Because the guy was pressuring you. He took you over on the inside like I did that ZL1. You know what I mean? And then it's like, all right, we back in the race. Oh, that was exciting. That's a highlight reel type thing. So I try to tell the dudes that some dudes, man, they get to driving, and then I say, okay, induce oversteer right here. They would go like this.
Yeah.
Wheel wouldn't move. Car just be.
Yeah.
Place is like, nah, just let it go just a little bit. Like, just loosen your hand just a little bit to feel the wheel slide through it, and then grab it again, and then correct back. And some guys would get it, some guys wouldn't. The kids, that's when I started training Jalen. Because I'd say, okay, you've got a thought process that is hard to change. You've been driving for so long. I was like, look at this little kid. He's 10. Jalen, go get the RX-8. He go get it. I'd have him do something. They're like, what the fuck? I'd be like, because he doesn't have
the bad habits.
Yeah, I know how you drive. He just took instruction, did that, and that's the result. So it was always cool, but you should for sure come out.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'll be looking forward to seeing some grip footage up there.
Bro,
with the little slide out the slide, like the little baby power slide out there and right back into it, and it's like they were like, man, how the fuck you do that? It's like easy, dude. You just keep going.
Yeah.
You just keep throwing.
I'll do it for sure. I'm not gonna lie, I've been on Marketplace a little bit in the past few days. I was talking to Lex about it, and I was like, man, you're killing me, dude. Like,
yeah, dude. Every time I go on Marketplace, I fucking buy a bike, so I stay off of Marketplace.
That's one thing I don't think I'll ever do is like, I mean, like street shit, like riding a bike, I'll do, but like racing it, nah, dude, that I can't do that.
I'll be on track tomorrow, like at 10 a.m., and then I just did Sonoma in the RX-8. I'm gonna be on Sonoma in the R1. I'm not intimidated, but I am gonna be on my P's and Q's. That's why I'm going for training tomorrow, just to get myself back in the flow, get my bike because Sonoma's a joke. We know it's walls all around that shit.
Yeah.
100 plus pluses. Yeah, you go down like Thunderhill. I go down. I don't feel like I'm gonna die. I feel like the bike's gonna flip and it's gonna be over with. I'm gonna be all right. Sonoma. Now if I go down, I'm gonna smack a wall and I went into it. That's gonna be that action. So I dip into all of them. So guys will be at the track like, what the hell? Like the lady that flags us at the starting line at Sonoma Drift on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I was coming up over turn 3, and I always have white cars. And she looked, she was like, I'm like, because I keep, oh, what the fuck? I'm flying in the middle of a race. She's like, ah. Hella cool, and then she's gonna notice me on the bike and be like, "Yo, what the fuck? You do everything." And it's like, it's fun. So you come out and grip. Palmer was there the day before, just kind of poking around, like, "Yo, what's this all about?" I think it'll be really cool. We all start going out there because again, we'll kind of shift the paradigm. Like all of these guys are all,
That's I see it all the time. I see it all the time at work. The grip dudes, man, they think like drift dudes are peasants, man. Like, like, oh, that's little money shit. Like, we're fucking doing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
It's kind of like because you mentioned you into you skate before, and I actually did a poll which I didn't get the results from. I was just curious, man. On my timeline, I got a bunch of drifters, and everybody was BMX, skating, snowboarding, BMX. Everybody came from. Well, it was like 2 or 3 guys who didn't, and each one of those guys said, one guy, my guy Yoshi, he was like, "That's why I didn't take the chances you guys took, because you were riding bikes, you were riding BMX, you were jumping off shit," and he was like, still in this drift career, he still doesn't take those plunges versus like I did BMX on street BMX or whatever, and if we jump off of shit and do some crazy shit, no helmets on. Right. And that's why I'm like, I don't think twice about diving into that corner or managing third gear at throttle towards the wall and away from it. Like I just do it, and you just look where you want to go. Don't look at the fucking wall. Look at the other apex. Right. And I've seen a correlation, man, where most of us have all come from some kind of extreme shit before drifting. Yeah. Or some do it. I mean,
I haven't met a fruit booter into drifting though.
What's that?
A fruit booter, roller skater. I haven't met one. Okay. It's always like BMX or skateboarding or something. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we all have a screw loose or something. Yeah. Like to go fast, I guess.
Yeah, because I mean, shit. I'm a third. I just got a motocross, man, and it's like that's, I didn't do any bikes before it, and I just drove my car the other day, man, and just by riding the bikes, I feel like it's another gear I hit, because not that I was stagnant, but the bike stuff being in the atmosphere, now it's like, man, I'm fucking in the car with a roll cage. I'm going fucking through, like I'm going extra hard now, because if I crash, I'm not flying out of the car. You know what I mean? I'll roll it, but I'm not. But on a bike, you're fucking like, if you crash, you're like,
you're rolling.
Yeah, you're gone.
You're sliding.
You're gone. So
that shit. That's. You won't catch me at a bike race. Yeah, there ain't no way. Even like rally dudes. Yeah, those dudes.
Oh, nuts.
Those are nutcats.
Nuts.
Those motherfuckers. Like,
see,
like Jalen, right? So he's a kid, and he's got the kid courageousness. Like the first time I let him loose by himself on Thunderhill skid pad, like, go ahead and I'm gonna stand over here. He was doing like second gear fast boys, like going at the wall. Starting to drift at the wall and then going down towards the bottom, towards that dip in the. So he's coming up and he's just like, whoa, and I'm like, oh, because rips up.
I've had a couple scares there where the dip catches you and it brings the front. You know what I mean? Like,
oh shit! And he just didn't have the fear of it, and I'm like, okay, let me let you know what could happen. So stop initiating so fast going over there. And then it's like the bike thing. Now he's doing the bikes. And I'm like, damn, this kid's going hella fast real quick. Yeah. So it's like, all right, let me kind of relax.
Doing
But he wants to, like, this bike thing, it's literally just an It's just a sideshow thing. It's just a, hey, I can do this too. But he's like laser focused on the car. He be DMing me shit, texting me shit he wants to buy for the vert. And then it's just like, all right, cool. Because Matsuri, Super D Matsuri, is want he and I to tandem. Like,
yeah, I was DMing him, or we were chatting a little bit the other night, and he was asking if I was going to that. I was like, yeah, I'll be there. I hope you're driving.
He wants to drive with y'all super bad.
Yeah, he's gonna be a weapon, bro.
Yeah.
He's gonna be.
It makes we're talking about this. It makes because again we kind of talked about, man. What was your age when you first started drifting again, Austin?
When I first I guess it was like 18, 19.
Mm-hmm. That's still pretty.
Yeah, I like I was saying before, like when I first started drifting, I almost like don't want to count it,
right?
Only because it was just like bullshit. Like,
oh no,
I did a J turn at a stoplight. You know what I mean? And I claimed myself as a drifter.
Yeah,
but
same. I did too.
Yeah, but I don't know. I guess like 5 years, 6 years. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's. I mean, but the thing about it, well, actually, that man, because he Jalen's what? How old's Jalen, Lex?
13, but he first started drifting at 10.
Yeah, so that's what I'm like. Yeah. It's like when I see again the Shinji's kid and all these young kids. Yeah,
I see it, dude.
And I see all these kids, man, like they starting before us. It's like, man, I wish I could have started, because like you, man, same thing, Austin. I was like around 18, 19, something like that, and then I got my 240, busted ass 240, and I was going out and going to the park. I would go out in the rain because I didn't have money for tires, and plus it didn't make as much noise. So I would go out, and I'm like, I'm telling people I'm a drifter and shit, and I turned down a ride with JR when JR had his S13, and I was like, nah, I'm cool, I'm good. This was before JR became JR. Like, I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. JR's from Annapolis, and we were on the same graphic sponsor, Retro Graphics, and the guy was like, hey, I know this guy named JR who's driving S13, man. I can hook up a ride. He's like, nah. I'm like, nah, dude, I'm a drifter, and I was doing fucking J turns and shit, and nowhere near drifting yet. And so I didn't start my first real drift event was in Manassas, Virginia at Old Dominion Speedway, and it was like 2007. That was my first, and I had my car 2003. So all that time I was just J turn and doing fuckboy shit. I wasn't drifting. I wasn't drifting until that point. So yeah, I definitely feel you on that, man. So I don't mention that part of my career to people. I just say I started in 2007 and go from there, man. Because you realize how bad you were when you got on the track, fucking all off the track. You know,
and that's what's so cool about me trying to give Jalen a directed experience. Like, here, let's go do things, right? But I want you to do things like this. And then he takes instruction very good. So when he's out doing stuff, like, yeah, he makes some mistakes here and there, but it's not like super fucked up kid mistakes, you know what I mean? And then he also has the switch in his head where he's having a blast, then something will happen and he'll be like, ooh, oh yeah, I'm doing something that's serious. Let me like he was going and he's jamming and he went through the fucking pothole, the grate.
Right.
The car was like boom, boom, boom. And he was, ooh shit. And my cars, I like powered racks with no power. So the steering's super heavy. And when he felt that shit lurch on him, and he in his head,
jam your arm down,
his head was like, "Ooh, if I lose control of this will be bad." So he was just cruising up. He said, "I'm a chill out for a second." He went,
well, that's good.
Yeah. I was like, "Oh yeah, I want him to work on his driving. We're gonna drive. I'm gonna let him like go do this as many times as you can, change tires, go back, and then
he learns his limits, you know what I mean? Like perfect example, like he hit the dip and he pulled in, like, all right, I need to chill, you know what I mean? Like that's important.
Man.
And that's something that we know, because we might look like we're doing such an extreme thing, but we're doing such a calculated, very planned of driving that it's just on limits of physics, but we're very planned and calculated, you know.
It's also like skateboarding. Like like it might sound weird, but you gotta like learn how to bail. You know what I mean? So you don't hurt yourself when you bail. So like in drifting, like when someone loops it in front of you, you know how to get the fuck out of there, like so you don't talk your shit, or you know what I mean? Like learning how to bail. That's
actually weird you said it, because I just actually I watched. I've been a guy who watched X Games. I watched the very first X Games when they had Biker Sherlock on a fucking luge and all that shit, man. And like I run a podcast. I listened to a bunch, and one of them I started listening to was I knew about it was Tony Hawk and Jason Ellis on Hawk versus Wolf, and they were talking about how dudes would come out there to skate their vert ramp, and they wouldn't know how to fall on their like knees when they they come down. They just fall on their fucking face, fall on their wrists. They go straight from the thing right to the fucking middle of the platform, and it's like, yeah, dude, it's not only professionally doing all these loops and tricks, but professional at the point of like knowing how to fall. And that's where a lot of guys, and even those guys are pros and they still get fucked up. So imagine a dude that's never done it. Like you go to try to fucking enter the vert ramp, and you just go straight to the middle of the ramp. It's like you're fucked and everything. So I mean, like I rode a skateboard, but I never. That's the. But
like
much
like
respect.
with BMXing, with BMXing, you gotta kick out sometimes, or like you know what I mean? Stop before you hit this like stairs. I don't know.
Brakes fade or no brakes, or that's when you learn.
Exactly.
That's when you learn maintenance is a thing, man. When you just, I remember the first time I went down the hill, I had no brakes, man, and I had to jump off. Like I had, that was fucking no. And what I'm saying, BMX. Let me clarify this. I'm from Baltimore City. We didn't do like the track. We just had a bunch of mongooses and Diamondbacks, and we would ride for hours. We had one guy with the inner tubes and air pump on his back, just in case we got flats and shit. And we rode for hours, and we jump off of shit, got chased by cops, blah blah blah. But when you're out there in the urban BMX, when you fall, man, you know what I mean, fucking handlebar. Like guys would go down a hill, their fucking handlebars ain't tight, and the fucking handlebars fold over. You go over the handlebars, all types of shit, man. So it is what it is, man. But hey, man, Austin, man, again, we're about 2 hours. About 2 hours of some change, man. I don't want to hold you up, man. I just want to again, man, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Already one Modelo. You got to get some more.
Yeah. So if you could, man, this is like I should have did this at the beginning when you came in, man. If you could just plug all your Instagram, your store. I seen your the Wonder is Team Wonder. Is your Team
Wonder.
Yeah, Team Wonder, and I'll throw a cool little sign up in there for the thumbnail, and like this let us know where they could buy your merch at, where they can follow you and all that stuff, man.
You can follow me on Instagram. It's Yaustin, ITSYAUSTIN.
Cool.
Or you can follow the team page, Drift Team is Wonder.
You say it's Drift Team.
Drift Team Wonder. Sorry, did I say it's Wonder?
Yeah, Drift Team Wonder. So I'll put all that stuff in there.
I know it was Drift Team Wonder. Yeah.
The Modelo's.
Man. Put all in there.
Yeah, man. This is cool because you're one of my favorite drivers. Like, see, I'm a fan of drifting, right? And I'm a fan of my homeboys that drive like really good. So it's like I could be just as excited driving with y'all and watching y'all drive together. So it's like I always be looking at videos. This one dude hit me and asked me, I see you're gripping, and he sent me something, and I was like, yeah, I've seen your car before. You went to this rained out track day. He was like, oh, what the hell? I was like, yeah, I'm a professional lurker. I watch everybody's IG. Like, I know what you're doing if you post it. You know what I'm saying? I don't comment or like shit, but I be on it. But yeah, I be seeing y'all getting down, man, and I be hype. I'll be like, man, this is gonna be sick. Me and my son are gonna be doing this shit, and then
hopefully we're all doing it.
Yeah, we're all gonna be fucking mixing it up.
I'm hella excited to drive with you guys, man.
That's his goal. It's like we want to get a couple laps in on the first couple hours, back, and then we just gotta throw him in the mix, like in the middle of a train, just
put him in Alki
and crash.
And not even a warm up, man. This fucking sensors are gonna be like going fucking crazy, man. Like sideways, but you never know, man. He might take to that shit naturally, and what I mean, it's only way to do it, man, is to do it, man.
Do it, to find out.
But it'll be funny being the lead driver all morning, and then like right in the evening, you get in the mix and you're like in the middle of hella dudes. Because that's why I asked him. I said, "Yo, don't you find it weird? All your friends in school, they be like, oh man, this guy's cool, this guy's cool." I said, "But you know them,
right?
Yeah.
Well, because dudes, right? and it is because of that, Lex, is like he's going after, we're all the same, man, no matter what it is, and like they're following people who are not obtainable. That they got their security guard fences and all that shit up, and Avril Lavigne and fucking Britney Spears and people who like, what I mean? They're different. What I mean? Monetary wise and all that shit, man. They're just different. And like when we get on there, man, when they see I bring up see Literal did some with some kids. I seen Jonathan Hurst. He did some shit with some. He went back and I think talked to the shop, and like he's a pro driver, and he went back and talked to like the high school mechanic shop guys, and they're like, "Hey man, you didn't have to do that, blah blah." Like, dude, I'm a normal dude just like you guys. I just drift in FD, and that's pretty cool, man. Where it's bridging a gap where again, Lex kid can idolize you guys, and then like now he's drifting, and now he, that shit like that don't happen, man, all the time in different parts of the world. Like, I mean,
and the funny thing is, he's just a freshman in high school, so this is gonna be this. Like the goal is for this winter, right?
Right.
He's gonna come in as a sophomore, dick swinging, because he done driven. I'm saying he's been in the mix of things. He's actually, the goal is to have him actually hone a nice craft to be in the middle of the pack, the back of the pack, the lead of the pack, and it's just gonna be like, dude, these are experiences that you're getting because this is a world that you're into, and
so
it's about being humble, because
humble,
nobody likes nothing cocky because we all grind, we all do the same thing. Like that's what I like about this world, our grassroots world. We're all really blue collar dudes. We bust fucking asses, yo. We might have like I have the Falcon stickers on my car and this because these people that give us breaks, I represent them as if they are 100% full sponsor. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, you gave me a break. This is helping me out. And every time I've hit you, you've, got you. Boom. And it's at my doorstep. And it's like, but for the most part, like we're blue collared. And then like how kids perceive things, kids might think, Jalen, oh, man, you got it all. But it's like, no. Because the only thing you can do as a kid is get good grades. That's your job.
Right.
Yeah.
Get good grades and be good. As long as you do your job, your pops busts his ass, has access to things, you get to roll with me because he's put in his time as an apprentice, just rolling and looking, rolling and watching.
Yeah.
It's like, here, come on, get in the mix, And I just think that's like a goal for me is like, oh man, my kid's here in the mix. I want to have my kid be in the world if he wants to be in it. And then he be looking because he's an S chassis fiend.
Yes, I was about to say, man. You saying he's sending you links for this shit? One link's gonna pop up. He's like, hey man, I want to get this S13 coupe and everything. It's like
he's super content with driving the Vert because he knows that's what we got available. Pops don't drive it. He knows like, oh, when I get the bread or the decision to get a purchase, it's an S chassis, and I'm gonna get a coupe, and I'm gonna get these wheels and this arrow, and then we just however you set it up, Pop, I'm gonna drive it. I'm like, all right, that's a vibe, that's a deal, then, So it's a great thing having you on. I get to have you on, and he'll getting for sure because you're one of my favorite drivers, you're one of his favorite drivers. And, like I said, we're all homies, but I still fan over my homeboys. So, I feel like this was great, dude. And, having you on is awesome. We'll probably get some more clips, like drop Johnny, some of your personal favorite clips.
I can do that.
We can get some of that stuff in on the intros and all of that. And dude, it was a good time, man.
Oh yeah, dude. Thanks again for having me, man.
No problem, man. Hey, thank you for coming.
Next time, maybe we'll, if there is next time, we'll have the whole team and all bullshit,
We could definitely do that.
Yeah. To start talking to teams.
What's that? Sorry, I cut out.
Yeah, we could definitely do that because, like I said, with the Skype thing, they with the whole Corona shit, one perk of that is just the conference stuff. Because before Skype couldn't do they didn't do the group stuff. So with this, man, there's no limit. I mean, you can pretty much have the whole team in there, Barry being a little bit box and just kind of just like chopping it up, man. So again, definitely could do that, man. Again, Austin, thanks for stopping by. And it's gonna be Lex from Richmond, California. I always say, man, CA not VA and everything. And then guys are there again. If you got any other additional questions, just can find them on IG. Hit up Austin, hit up Lex, hit up me, and then whatever, man. If you guys got guys that you would like to see on the podcast, just tag them and get them on there. Again, with the whole podcast again. I mean, stating how it is. I'm not Maximus Drift. I don't do. This is like this one is just a drift podcast because we had a drifter, but I talk to whoever I talk to, who are people who I'm interested in. So I don't lock myself in there. So if you got anybody else out there that you want to see on there, just tag them, link them to my channel. That way you can see the vibe. Again, Austin, for this, man, my notes right here I'm taking is just notes I'm taking, but I don't do any pre-planning and stuff like that. We just talk, man. So
yeah, I was gonna ask you because I watched one of your podcasts the other night. I see you write stuff every once in a while.
That's just clips and I put like 30 minutes, put a Kahuchi video in there and whatever, man. So the cool thing is actually with the production, what you see your videos popping in and out. That's a new update for the software I use. You can actually you can drag in live videos, and so that cuts down on our production. So normally the way I would do it is I would add your videos after the fact, post production, but now it's quicker. So yeah, I'm just taking notes on clips and names and stuff. If I have something I want to ask, I'll ask later, but I write it down there. But yeah, man, I keep it like this because it's this is a conversation, man, not an interview. So when I do, I'm trying to get I'm trying to get some pro because I'm interested in it. I'm trying to get some pro motocross guys on, but right now they're just fucking they're wide open, man, with the season. I didn't know it was that close. They get 2 days of practice and they back fucking competing tomorrow. You know what I mean? So and I think Anaheim 3 is tomorrow, so I'll be tuned in on that. And for the guys that are watching, man, so it is what it is. But right now, Drifters is a good time because the season's about to kick off. Everybody's building shit, and we got time and stuff like that, man. So again, Austin, man, thanks for coming in. Lex, as always, man, thanks for coming in. The guys out there, again, be sure to send your comments, questions to podcast, pinkustyle.com. Like I say, always do what you gotta do to get out this Corona shit so we can get back to normal. That way I can come over to the States and do some pro-am shit and link up with Lex and do everything because that's my goal. Again, Austin is weird, but I'm not interested in drift. I'm not interested in competing in Japan. It's just I've been here 15 years and I've seen it, and I'd rather spend my money and come over to the States and
get some fun.
Man, and it's weird, man. It's guys like, man, you're in Japan, like, dude, but once grass is greener, that shit applies. And it's once you get here and you're here for a little bit, you get jaded, you see skylines and all that shit all around. It's like, all right, whatever the fuck. I got 13 of them, so it doesn't really matter. This is not a humble brag, but they're easy to get. You know what I mean? It is, but in their defense, they're not GTRs because all mine's a GTS because I don't care for all-wheel drive. So take that. I got the poor man's version. So don't feel too good or bad.
Hey, those are worth the hot penny over here, man.
Yeah, I'm about to sell one of them. Fortunately, to fund my comeback, so I don't want to sell it. I actually got it back and I'm about to resell it. So it is what it is, man. But it's going to be, trust me, man, the car plus the shipping will be cheaper than whatever they're selling over there. So it'll be kind of cool, man. But cool, man. Again, guys, thanks again. Guys there again, thanks for watching and tuning in. As always, again, the podcast, the numbers you see are dismal, but I'm not going to stop doing these podcasts. Eventually, like I always say before, man, Joe Rogan wasn't always popping like he's popping right now. So it took a lot of, this is only episode 135, man. So it takes time. I'm going to keep plugging away. And even if I get, 500 to 1,000 views or whatever, that's still 500, 1,000 people out there that gave us your time. So we thank you for that. And again, man, stay cool and stay like that. So it's going to be good. Donnie signing out from South Japan. See you guys later. Peace.